Family and friends. Uh-oh, I'm missing somebody. There we go.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Abby. Good
Hi.
to see you.
Good to see you too. And hi, Jacqueline. Bad Cookies is ready to party.
What's up, the other four of you out there? Good to see you.
Oh, why you put us on blast like that?
Oh, I shouldn't have said I jinxed us. Now it's three.
Jacqueline saw a post on Twitter earlier. Chris Brown had been arrested in Manchester. Oh,
Oh,
uh
really?
oh.
Well, there's some breaking news for you. Thanks, Jacqueline.
I know. Breaking news. Entertainment news. Nothing sequential, but still worth the mention. Hi, Kilya Egregores.
Hello. Good to see
Good
you.
to see you. I have some bad news. Like
Uh-oh.
where Bella? Bella, I have something to tell you, Bella. Bella, my kitty cat died.
Oh, no.
My Mittens Rachmaninoff passed away.
Cat named Mittens.
His name was Mittens Rachmaninoff.
Wow, Rachmaninoff.
Yes. After the concert pianist Sergei Rachmaninoff.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
my condolences. Sorry to hear that.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Was it a bit unexpected?
No, we've been dealing with it for a minute.
That's a
Um,
little bit better then.
yeah, he's old. He was. I think I've had him for 10 years, and he was a adult when I got him. So it was understandable, but doesn't hurt any less. We were actually thinking about putting him down to put him out of his misery, but hard call to make.
Well,
So
sometimes it's just it's our time, you know. We all have an expiry date. There's no avoiding it. So
yep,
it's a
he
hard
made
decision putting them down, but maybe it's not the worst thing that decision was taken from you there.
he made the decision for us. So
Hello, John H. and Rondo. Good to see you guys.
hi, John H. Rondo, peace, 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 fam. I was trying to find a cute little picture of him for you guys.
When y'all at the beach.
Yeah, I was trying to find the beat because this cat has been more places.
Than me.
Todd Smith said than her. Let me see if I can show this.
Jacqueline
So
says
this is
she's
thank
sorry.
you.
You must miss him so much. Was she getting on, and did she have a good life? She's saying sorry for misgendering your cat.
Oh no, it's a boy.
There you go.
He was a boy. But as you can see, um, or you're about to see, how do I? Oh, I have to switch the layout. um, we dressed him in pink. Why is it
I'm just
not showing? Oh, there it is. Because it was a blue Russian, so pink looked really good on hot pink looked really good on him.
That's a nice
So
cat.
that's us at the beach actually. He is oh no, we weren't at the beach yet. We were on the ferry on the way to the beach, and those are his mutt muffs. So the ferry, is pretty loud. So anytime I took him on an airplane or a ferry or something like that, he always had his mutt muffs so he wouldn't be startled and he'd feel comfortable.
That's
So
nice. Got beautiful
yeah,
eyes.
wasn't he beautiful? Let me
Yeah.
see if I can find one more. I have this like iconic one that I really, really love, but
Hello, Mastermind. Good to see you.
unless you want to, I'll show you this one. This is him for Halloween. He was a reggae cat.
Nice.
See his little locks?
That's cute.
Very cute, very cute. So he used to, at first, he used to scare him when we first started doing that. Then he realized what was going on,
Yeah.
that we were in it, and he like loved to put on his costume and sit there and wait for the kids.
Yes, I'm not
So
a big fan of dressing up the pets as much, but as long as they don't mind or even like it, then there's no problem.
Yeah. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Okay. It's not me, but thank you. It's not me. I have a picture of me at the shore with him, but that's him sniffing the fish, checking out the ocean.
Nice.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
must be a nice place to take a cat. I never thought of that before.
Yeah, I mean, I had to take him with all his accoutrements, and if I find the pic, I'll show it to you. But I'm not gonna. Um, oh, and cute. Okay, my friend Brenda might be coming today, and she commented on this pic. This is a great photo. So if she's here,
Always
oh,
good
he looks embarrassed to be in the photo. Oh,
making me wonder if they got cat sunscreen out there. I bet you they do.
well, I had a cat tent for him,
Mhm.
but I mean a cat like cage, and he was always in the shade. But when he wasn't, he was just sitting down chilling like that
Mhm.
in my seat.
That's where I kind of miss the cats because they're better for chilling. They don't bother you as much.
Right. And you know, I kind of agree with you, Mastermind. If you're getting free food, you can wear the stupid costume. It's just one day. Damn.
Sounds like a fair trade-off.
It's a fair trade off.
I see. I think your friend Brenda is here. Hello. Good to meet
Oh,
you.
Brenda. Welcome, Brenda. So, Brenda is a really good friend of mine from New York City, Queens. She's from Queens, to be exact. We've known each other for, wow, at least 15, 16 years now. She is a techno beat making extraordinaire. So
Nice.
if you need any techno beats, you should check Brenda out.
Oh, we
And
need
actually,
Brenda and Mouse to get together. Mouse SF. To talk some.
yeah, I was thinking that. I was hoping Mousy would be here. You're like, Mousy, meet Brenda. Actually, Brenda and I and my and Nina did a collaboration um, for World Pride when it was in New York City, and maybe I'll play it one day for you. Maybe we could leave out with, well, in June. We'll do it in June.
Sure, sounds good. Hello,
Okay.
Yonina. Good to see you.
Hi, Amina. Aw, don't be humbled. It's true. Brenda's awesome. She's very good at what she does, and she's a mean guitarist too.
Mm.
Brenda, if you could drop your SoundCloud, that'd be great.
If you like, yeah.
If you like, if you like, I mean, she might be like me. I just happened. She happened to call me, and I told her I had a podcast to do. She didn't even know I do a podcast, and I don't really tell people because I don't know. I feel like I'd like people to come naturally or
Yeah,
whatever. I don't want to feel like I'm forcing people to like
yeah,
support. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
I feel a little awkward bringing it up to some people, but if it seems to like feels like it's coming up in conversation naturally, I feel like it's okay to mention, especially because I am trying to meet new people in Windsor, make some more friendships and relationships, and it seems like as good a place as any to. Hey, if you want to get to know me, this is what I do.
yeah, I people always say they got it out the mud, Jacqueline. That means they they rose from the bottom on their own without any help. When someone says I got it out the mud, but that's these days that's not true. That's just a saying. So I really shouldn't feel bad asking people, but I just don't. Hi, antediluvian atheist. It's
Hello.
good to see you. Should we get started? Oh,
Sure.
Jacqueline, He wore costumes every year. Um, he wore a leash, a harness, and we took him for walks in the park. There's a park in the complex, so we take him outside. They have a animal festival, and he'd go out there with the dogs. He wasn't too keen for the dogs, though.
People
He
tend to
pat the
forget,
piss out of them.
people forget that cats enjoy going outside. I think it's good to get them out there.
Yeah, he liked looking at the birds, watching the birds, looking at the squirrels. He never tried to run after them. I guess he said, I get fed enough at home. I don't need to be bothered with you. I am sunbathing right now.
That's nice.
Although he did love the grass.
Mm.
So, yeah, may he rest in peace. And so I just thought it was super interesting, Michael, because believe it or not, guys, sometimes we'll contact each other beforehand and say, hey, what do you want to talk about? And we'll coordinate. But this time around, we did not. And somehow it came together so nicely.
You're just still on the same wavelength, it seems. Good.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, you just didn't have as much. It's harder to get a hold of me these days. I'm still having problems with my phone and funding in order to get a new one. So uh, it's just I've always had a hard time. Even I can't really call Abby because without it costing me long distance. So just kind of need to get around these technical difficulties a little bit. And I've been having a kind of a lot going on personally too. It's actually the reason why I wanted to talk about trafficking, um, like child welfare services more in general, but trafficking is kind of the uh, the elephant in the room when you talk about welfare systems. So,
and I bet when people saw this, they were thinking sex trafficking,
hmm,
which I'm sure a lot of that was going on too. But we're talking about trafficking people, human beings for their labor, and how that um, translates into, well, at the time it wasn't technocracy. I mean, did I just say technocracy? I just mixed up. I just mixed the word toxicity and technocracy together.
I'll say that by
Y'all know what I'm talking about. I mean, it is now, but at the time, it was just like delving in the same thing we're delving into now, fascism, just in a different way.
right.
Um, so I am going to set you up with this video, and then I'll let you do your thing. We could talk about it, and gotta find the video. We could talk about it, and then we'll go into mine, and I think that would be good.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I just see a couple questions here. Mastermind said, "Is long distance still a thing in Canada?" I guess so. It's not still a thing in the U.S. Thought it must be, but maybe things change and I miss it. So, and then Jacqueline said, "What about video calling on Facebook? Wouldn't that be cheaper? Work out cheaper, Michael?" Probably, yeah, that would be a good idea if I could get on my Facebook. I'm having problems accessing it because without a working screen on my phone, this two-factor authentication thing is locking me out half of my accounts online too. So, in case you haven't noticed, I haven't been around in any of the group chats, the other channels that we sometimes watch together. I haven't been able to hang out with the Hard Lens Media or INN guys unless they're doing a Discord. Well, theirs is actually the only chat that I can hang out because theirs is linked to their Discord, which is nice to see, but not everyone is aware of that feature or knows how to operate it. So, yeah, I actually can't. Abby was asking if for me to hop onto my account and hop into the chat a little bit so you can see my name instead of Abby Do, and I have to put Nilo in quotations there. I can't get onto my account for my YouTube account, so I gotta get that phone fixed. So this is just it's the way I am. I'm a little always procrastinating when it comes to renewing technology. You know that a lot of people like to get their new smartphones right away. top of mind. I've never really been about that, but I can be a little bit too like a little too vain, trying to go too long with something I already know more. So
Well, Michael, I think maybe Mastermind was asking you if it's still long distance, because you're going to be the 51st state of the United States of America.
that's a
So
good way to put it. Yeah,
I think you'll be able to get a hold of us just fairly easy.
yeah. All of a sudden, we'll be that much closer. In the
Uh-huh.
blink of an eye, distance will vanish. Yeah, pretty much mastermind, semi Luddite, just without the like. I don't know if that's a religious. Forget. I have to look into that historical moment there, movement, whatever. But in general, yeah, I've there's like more modern day Luddites are looking at how AI is taking over everything and wanting to just escape out into the wilderness and do your survivalist training. I've kind of in recent times come around to realizing that that's not really any sustainable way to go about things. That doesn't mean that I'm going to fully embrace technocracy now, though. So
Mm. Well, okay. So I'm going to mention this because we can come back to this later.
sure,
Unina says, um, I'm not sure if that was an old video though. Unina, like two people came into was Atlanta with KKK garb on, and I guess they got FAFO'd,
Hmm.
but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so we'll put a pin in that one. And it's Janina. I'm so sorry. I keep doing that. All right, so I'm gonna have to restart this because you know how
Yeah, no
this
problem. Yeah,
this goes.
we've got a long going intro now. Sorry, time to get to some content.
Yep. Let's get it started. Now you know who that is.
The
Yeah,
world. We were at our richest from 1870 to 1913.
Do you know what happened from 1870 to 1913? It was the Gilded Age. We weren't the richest country. A few white men were really rich while the rest of the country was suffering. Kind of like how it is now. That's when Trump thinks America was great. If you look closely, that's what Doge is all about. Not fighting corruption, but helping the wealthy get wealthier. How do we know? Well, they're identifying cuts in the first place to make way for another round of giant tax cuts for the rich and corporations that'll add trillions to the deficit. 50% of the cost of extending Trump's 2017 tax law would help the top 5%. But we can also look at Musk's first targets, like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which writes rules to help customers and has saved Americans nearly $20 billion since 2011. Wealthy business owners don't like that it makes it harder for them to rip us off. Doge also targeted the Environmental Protection Agency, which helps protect human health and the environment. But big companies have been railing against it for decades because it enforces regulations that hold them back from making more money. So what hasn't Doge targeted yet? The Department of Defense, which accounts for half of all discretionary spending in the US, more than the next 9 countries combined. It's also where Musk has had $22 billion in SpaceX contracts, which haven't been cut. And while Doge says they're looking to cut 8% of the DoD's budget, which would be around $73 billion, the GOP's budget proposal includes a $150 billion increase in defense spending. Republicans are acting like Doge is about weeding out corruption. But if that were true, why would the first agencies they target be the ones that monitor corruption and hold businesses accountable?
We were the richest country in the world. We were at our richest from 1870 to 1913.
Do you know what happened from 18?
Okay, so you know how I say they're playing in our faces, right? They just keep playing in our faces. I just want to remind people what the origin of the Doge was actually a word, a Latin word, right? And so let's read the origin of the word. The word Doge originally referred to the highest official to the Republic of Venice. It's a Venetian Italian term that translates to duke and is derived from the Latin word dux, meaning spiritual leader, or military commander. The title Doge was used in Venice for over 1,000 years, from the 8th to the 18th century, and was a symbol of the state's sovereignty.
right. And
So, yeah.
you should be mistaken of that with all the we got like these modern satanic cults and stuff that are all about Luciferian whatever rituals and stuff, and then you can associate Venus with Lucifer, And then when you get them making references to the leader of Venice and stuff, this sort of, you see that these recurring themes keep echoing and resonating. Seems to mean something, is all I'm saying. It's just the kind of crap they can do, the wink at you, and a nod to their secret society in plain view, and you probably can't prove jack shit, so they can always do that kind of thing. So
You know how we well, Bad Cookies is here, like, and Mastermind. Come on with the conspiracy theories, because you know how the entertainment industry and the political uh, arm are very close knit. And this show, The Gilded Age, you know how they usually will show us things to prep us for the information that's yet to come, so it's not so much as a shock. So I wouldn't be surprised,
right.
because I'm
they
pretty
like
sure they knew Trump was going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew.
They like to disperse little grains of truth in there to make it seem like they're not lying about everything. Like that statement Trump made that between 1870 and 1913, we're the richest this country's ever been. There's probably some validity to that when you understand how the American dollar has depreciated over the past century and a half. I'm not sure if it's completely accurate. I have to fact check them a bit on that. I do know like 1800s is when the US dollar was actually valuable. Now it's like shit, 99% of its value lost. So
Don't have those pesky slaves anymore. So now they have to create new ones.
yeah. But
So you want to go into the Gilded Age?
yeah, you were mentioning the Gilded Age there. I had been wanting to look into a little bit of the origins of the Children's Aid Society, because I've had a little bit of some personal dealings with them in my life lately. And this building here, I've come to recognize that this has become one of these unlicensed placements that they seem, unless it's licensed, which would blow my mind, but they've been lodging these kids in these places that they're not really supposed to, for lack of somewhere safer to put them, is the claim. And if they think that this building is a safe space for kids, teenagers, like kids with substance problems and stuff, that's they're getting away with like social murder of our kids, right? Because if there's an article I came across was like every 3 days a kid dies in custody of the CAS, and that was a bit of a shocking headline to read.
What is the acronym for CAS?
The Children's Aid Society.
Children's Aid Society. Is that like, okay, that's in Canada?
It's in Canada, but it started in the US. So this is where I'm going to find my tab to share here. I came across the originator of the Children's Aid Society, shocker, is a philanthropist, a eugenics
shocker.
yeah. So let me just change the banner down here. So the founder of the Children's Aid Society is a man called William Henry Brace. I'm just trying to see if I got that right. Pardon me. Charles Loring Brace. My bad.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Charles Loring Brace. Founder in 1853 New York Children's Aid Society, an early child welfare organization that provided a variety of programs for impoverished city children. Charles Loring Brace was an important proponent of the CAS's emigration scheme, widely known today as the orphan trains. Brace's emigration program transported more than 100,000 persons, mostly children, from the burgeoning city of New York to rural homes and farms in various, mostly Midwestern states, some as far away as Texas. During its 75-year history, the program was widely copied by other child-saving philanthropies and is still viewed as a significant precursor to the modern foster care system. So that was just a different article. That was a little blurb from the encyclopedia.com that I read off for a little bit of context. It's like the ASPCA, but for skin puppies. I'm not sure about missing the
I was
reference there.
trying not to laugh while you.
It's okay. Oh yeah,
No, that's US. That's US AIDS.
yeah. Designed to give kids AIDS. Boys, I don't know about that though. Sometimes you think it's an exaggeration, hyperbole to say something like that, but the truth is shocking. So, not to make such a ridiculous allegation, but anyway. Um, so this article I'll get to here. Let me blow it up a little bit. Uh, this is not the kind of thing, by the way, if you have a meeting with your children's aid caseworker, maybe don't read this kind of story the night before. But anyway, the
Please. No, Robert Hinton's.
yeah. So this is the Orphan Train movement, a tale of charity, controversy, and lost childhoods. In the mid-19th century America, thousands of children found themselves living in squalor, deprived of the security and warmth of family life. Destitution and crime-riddled urban centers, and the most vulnerable were often children. A revolutionary, albeit controversial, response to this crisis came in the form of the orphan trains. That right there, to me, is an offensive use of the term revolutionary, and I know that they do that on purpose to try and associate revolutionary activities with appalling circumstances. So, shame on them. These baby trains or mercy trains began ferrying abandoned, orphaned, and impoverished children from overcrowded cities in the eastern United States to rural communities in the Midwest, where they were paraded before prospective foster families. The scheme promised a new start for these children, but for many it was also a painful chapter in their lives. Members of the Children's Aid Society posed with children awaiting adoption, by the way. There's an old photo. So I just found it wild that this organization has that long of a legacy. So, the origins of the orphan trains. The orphan train movement emerged out of the grim realities of 19th century urban America. By the mid 1800s, cities like New York were overwhelmed by poverty, homelessness, and neglect. Charles Loring Brace, a Presbyterian minister, arrived in New York City in 1849 and witnessed firsthand the plight of children who had been abandoned by their families or orphaned by disease and poverty. Manhattan's Five Points district, infamous for its gang activity, had become a breeding ground for criminality and misery, with thousands of children living on the streets. Estimates suggest that by 1850, as many as 30,000 children were living in the streets and slums of New York alone. So the way that they often explain these kinds of historical situations, they'll mention the gang activity, talk about breeding grounds for criminality and misery. They don't ever really mention capitalism, okay? And what trying to incentivize all those immigrants to come over as cheap labor, and then finding that their kids are more useful actually for cheap labor. So yeah, there's a whole lot that could be said there. But
Yep.
you got anyone got some
Yeah.
comments
Oh,
before
well, Jacqueline said, "Isn't that a form of slave labor?" Yes, it is. I mean, it it wasn't as brutal as chattel slavery, but that's pretty brutal for children. Children shouldn't be put in that position. Um,
well, and there are
not the way they were, because like if you look at kids in China, not all of China. China has billions of people, right? But a lot of those elementary schools, those kids are like cooking. They're, I mean, they're learning how to cook, how to like do all kind of trades at a very, very young age. But it's life skill training. It's like part of their curriculum. It's not like it's not being done with kindness and guidance. You know what I
right.
mean?
Well, this was a Presbyterian minister, and I'm not sure if it mentions it in this article or a different article I was looking at, but there's a reason why I mentioned eugenics in the little, I forget
Of
what you
course
call it,
there
blurb
is.
at the bottom, because that was actually the part of the solution for these poor kids is as eugenic influenced in that they're trying to take them out of this squalorous conditions. I don't know if that's a word, and improve their life, like their quality of life and their their like future progeny and stuff like that by moving them to the Midwest, by human trafficking them. They feel is a eugenic improvement on the life of the child, basically.
Kind of basically what they did to natives, to indigenous people of America, put
Yep.
them in those schools
Yep.
to indoctrinate them into Christianity so they can civilize them, as they tried to say. I want to say hello to Snorky. And I don't think we said hi to Sean yet. Sean's in the house.
Hey, how's it going, Snorky and Sean? Good to have you both with us. No, it really was slavery. Many kids were basically sold and got nothing back. Often the church would have received a
Right. It
tiny
was
amount of money.
yeah, it was definitely slavery.
Yeah.
I was
And-
just saying that it wasn't chattel slavery.
Yeah.
But I'm
And-
sure some of those kids got
Straight up
taken,
yeah.
straight assaulted. Yes, exactly.
Assaulted and sold, and just treated like a piece of, like an animal, right? And when I looked
Yes.
into, was anyone held accountable for this? The answer is no. The only thing happened was that they actually got so many complaints and whatnot that they shut the program down, and then they had standards introduced, like the foster care system. But as anyone knows of the foster care system today, those standards are awful. They're not. They're basically, like lip service, right? Shall I get back to this article here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Estimates suggest that by 1850, as many as 30,000 children were living in the streets and slums of New York alone. Brace believed it was his religious and moral duty to evangelize the poor. In 1853, he founded the Children's Aid Society, an organization dedicated to addressing the needs of these street children. It's also similar to the homeless agencies we have. We've got a place called the Salvation Army, which is given, the state treats them as if they are like the main go-to for homeless, like aid for homeless people, and that's basically keeping outsourcing the task of taking care of the disenfranchised and the poor to the church, as always, right? So the society's early efforts included providing Bible study, education, and shelter for boys, particularly through establishments such as the Newsboys Lodging House. Yet, despite these efforts, the numbers of homeless and vulnerable children continued to rise, and Brace sought a broader solution. Brace's plan was simple in theory but ambitious in scale. Relocate the children to rural areas away from the dangers of city life, where they could be taken in by farm families who were in need of labor. And if you're thinking about getting kids away from the dangers of city life, I'm kind of a city kid. I grew up in cities, but I'm pretty sure if you look up the statistics, it's more dangerous out in the country than it is in the city. But that's something people can dispute if they like. So
I agree. I'm a city person. I agree, because there's more eyes on you in the city
Mhm.
than in the country. So it's easier to get lost
Yeah,
and never found again.
fall through the cracks. Yeah.
Yes. So a few things. Yeah, I do. I wanted to say, excuse me. Yonina, I'm very glad that you survived that. Some people, it's a blessing for them because they're in a better situation than they were with their parents, and some people, it is a hell on earth. So hopefully you have healed or are in the process of healing from any trauma that you experienced.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to congratulate Snorky. He is on vacation now. He turned in his last graded paper.
Congratulations.
So, but to what you were saying though, how you said this person was a philanthropist or what have you, right? I just find that quite interesting.
Okay, let me bring this down for a minute. And
Yeah, let's bring that down.
Yeah.
So I just find that quite interesting because, um, let me catch my thought. People assume just because someone's a philanthropist that they're a good person. You can't be a billionaire and be a good person. You could have ended homelessness. You could have. There's so many things you could have done. You could like,
Just like the
you
ACAB
could have
thing.
just paid taxes. Like there's so many things you could do, but you give like a drop of a bucket, and you're like, here, take this. Now see me, aren't I great? And that's why when I was asking about the um, how the entertainment industry and the political arm are so connected, I want to show you this video and listen to her explain away why it was better during the Gilded Age than it is now. I
That's a
want
sad kind of thing to think about, but sometimes, sadly, too true.
oh, but well, I'll meet you on the other side and we'll discuss it.
Okay.
Okay, so I gotta do all these things. Ugh. Here it comes. Okay, there we go.
Our billionaire class is genuinely so much more shit than the Gilded Era billionaire.
We are in the plastic era, not the Gilded Era, because at least in the Gilded Era, like these rich families did things that made us hate rich people a little bit less. Like nowadays, the Kardashians and people have nailed down throwing the disgustingly large parties. We can't stand them because they're not doing anything that's like leaving a huge, lasting, direct impact on society. Like the Carnegies, establishing libraries, museums, colleges. The Vanderbilts built Grand Central Station way more extravagant than it needed to be. As kind of like an FU, look at how much money we have, but people are still using it and enjoying it to this day. Like the Roosevelts gave us all of our national parks. Like the closest examples I can think of as well is Dolly Parton and her Imagination Library, but also some of the stuff I think I've heard Mark Cuban's doing. One of his side ventures is like taking on big pharma and hoping to lower drug costs through his own stuff, which of course directly benefits him, but it also benefits everyone. And I feel like there's so much that could be done directly with like infrastructure and public work. We need to do things that benefit the common people more. And like I just think a good way to harness like the egos of these billionaires, right, who need to rub their money in everyone's faces, is to build like big things or infrastructures or programs and slap your name all over it. And beyond just like general housing and welfare ideas, a big one that I think of that comes to mind first, the cross-continental bullet train system that like spawns other train systems across the country as well, that's more accessible, of course, than flying. Or even like installing subway systems in cities that have like poor public transportation. And a lot of this adds to like the increasing wealth disparities between classes too. Like if we were able to distribute it out here and there more evenly, like there would be less of that. If you ever see me out at dinner with like a billionaire or something, just look the other way, okay? Don't worry about it. I'm doing something here.
Our billionaire class is genuinely.
I mean, is she for real? So her logic is as long as you build a massive, well, first of all, the reason churches look that way is to make you feel small. Like God is like so big that you can never attain any type of spirituality close to um, what God is or what have you. That's
Or
the
any
reason
kind
they make all these big affluent buildings and for their legacy. So hundreds of years down the line, you won't remember how shitty they were because they have these beautiful monuments, and that's what you remember them by. The Pulitzer Prize, that man was a horrible person.
Yeah. Same with the Nobel Prize. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's what
I
I
remember
meant. The
the guy.
Nobel Peace Prize. What did I
I was
say? I
gonna
said
say,
Pulitzer, didn't I? The Nobel
you should
Peace
look him up.
Prize. He was
I
anything
bet
but
you.
peaceful.
Yeah. No, exactly.
So
Yeah.
her logic is as long as they spend the money to make themselves look better and we can get a few crumbs and use the facilities, then it's cool. Like, what is wrong with her?
Well, people make the argument that it's a little more dangerous, that they're more effective at winning the people over with this extravagant spending, and then they've entrenched themselves even deeper uh, as a force of good when they are in fact not. And so a lot of people like look at someone like Trump and stuff, and they say, well, it'll be kind of good for people because of how brutal he is. They will not be able to pretend like there's anything good about this system. I just have problems with that accelerationist argument because we're kind of intentionally throwing people under the bus, it feels like to me. So, but there's probably a grim kind of truth to it. You know, people are much more likely to wake up to the bullshit when they're getting hit with the stick and not fed the carrot. So,
Well, you have any more articles you want to?
yeah, I don't really have videos as much for my articles, but I can finish up this article and we can move to the next one.
Oh, okay.
Because I had some good stuff about, you mentioned indigenous. There's some, like, the whole thing about the technocracy is how they use data against us, like to surveil us. But we can, like, the Achilles heel is that we can use data to exonerate us or to prove the systemic, like, racism and stuff like that. So, exactly, right? There was a fucking carrot. Yeah. It's like if they advertise a carrot long enough, you'll eventually start to taste it.
Exactly. I'm looking over here because I'm trying to look at these comments because I want to make sure we like put a nail in it before we move on. I don't want to miss anybody. Yeah, it's like she's falling for the okey doke. I'm sure she drank a lot of that milk back in those Montesano days, mastermind. I'm sure her stomach was bubbly. Bubbly. So I think that's it.
Yeah, well, maybe she's just being a bit facetious or
I don't
something.
know why my
But,
headphones connected.
I don't think
always
I
connect.
really.
I don't hear you.
Usually when it's okay, we got it.
No, I'm saying I don't hear you. But
It's okay.
connected.
It's okay.
I'm-
You just keep trying so you can. Tosh Mint was going to add me for us, but she can't hear anything.
well, hi, Tosh. Good to hear you.
Michael says hi. It's good to hear you.
Hello.
I don't think she's being facetious. I thought she was dead serious. You
She's
guys
probably-
think she was being serious or facetious?
She's probably saying to the capitalists nowadays, you can do better. Like, at least be like them. You know, is that her message?
Yeah, exactly. Like flaunt your money. Show us how much money you have, and build some stuff.
It's kind of ignoring though. Why are they worse now? Why do they feel like there's no reason to be better like they used to be?
Yeah, and that's a ridiculous argument because if you paid your taxes, you wouldn't have to go build some stuff. Just pay your taxes and let the government do that. But, then we have this type of government too, so
Yeah.
that's another problem, which we will talk about in the next segment, but let's go back to yours. Let's put you back
imagine
on stage.
as awful as the government's been for people, like with child welfare stuff. Imagine being in a time where you don't even have any government services for this kind of thing, and you need to implore the awful government to initiate a service like this. Because it is actually, it's like a lesser of two evils situation. I guess the lesser evil being the government actually providing child protection services, as abysmal as they may be. So let me get back to the article here. Move along. So, despite those efforts, number of homeless and vulnerable children continue to rise. Race's plan was simple. It was a plan rooted in a mixture of philanthropy and practicality, but also steeped in the paternalistic notions of the time. Race believed that the children, often referred to as street rats, would find better lives away from the crime and corruption of urban centers. The result of Brace's vision was the orphan train movement. The first official orphan train journey took place on October 1st, 1854, carrying 45 children from New York City to Dowagiac, Michigan. The children were accompanied by E.P. Smith of the Children's Aid Society, who presented them to the waiting audience with a mixture of practicality and salesmanship. He declared that the boys were hard workers and very handy, and that the girls could perform all types of housework. The children were lined up, and one by one they took to the stage, giving their names, singing songs, or reciting poems. Within less than a week, all but 8 of the children had been placed with families. Those 8 remaining children were sent to Iowa City on another train, unaccompanied, where they were delivered to an orphanage run by Reverend C.C. Townsend. The Reverend intended to place these children with farm families in need of laborers. The apparent success of this first expedition encouraged Brace and others to continue the program. Over the next 75 years, more than 250,000 children were transported across the United States in a mass movement that stretched from 1854 to 1929. The states that received the most children included New York, Illinois, Ohio, Iowa, and Missouri, where the demand for farm labor was greatest. Notice how it took the Great Depression to put an end to this kind of thing. So, the orphan train process, adoption or exhibition. The process of adoption through the orphan trains was, at best, rudimentary and, at worst, dehumanizing. Posters and leaflets were distributed ahead of the train's arrivals in towns, advertising the arrival of the orphan trains and the opportunity for families to adopt a child. Once the train arrived, children were gathered in a designated hall or public space, often referred to as the place of distribution. Here, the children would be lined up and paraded in front of prospective foster parents. They might walk across the stage, reciting poems or singing songs in a bid to endear themselves to the crowd. It was not uncommon for families to physically inspect the children, prodding them, checking their teeth, or feeling their muscles, much like livestock. Babies were the most desirable, and older children, especially those over 14, were difficult to place as they were often considered too set in their ways or prone to bad habits. Children who were sickly or had physical or mental disabilities were nearly impossible to place, which is basically the problem we have now. So I think maybe we could kind of leave it there, or
I was on mute, but yeah, like it took a Great Depression where there was no work, there was no no hope.
and they needed all the people, all the adults back to work, right? So
yeah, okay, that leads, I guess, I don't know.
I think it's good to
We could talk.
leave
We
it
could
there.
put a pin in that and come back to it because
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, that has a lot to do with techno. How do you say that word? Technocracy.
Yeah.
Technocracy. I don't know why. Some words they just don't roll off my tongue.
Well, I was just going to mention that that last line that I read, that the disabled kids was like impossible to place. This is becoming like the modern version of it is that kids are too complex, to like they're too expensive because their needs are too complex, which is a way of saying the more disabled you are, the more expensive you are, the harder you are to place. So,
you know, this is off topic of our. Well, maybe it's not. It's dealing with eugenics. So you know you love that word. So with the disability issue, RFK in front of Congress and linking vaccines to autism, and his sources are mostly, well, when I was growing up, you didn't see any autistic
you didn't see them.
kids.
Yeah.
What happened? Why are they all over the place? And it's like, because they got rights, because they weren't shipped off to a mental institution.
Yeah.
Shunned away from the rest of society. This is what we call progress. We're actually including them in society and along with us, and we're all getting along and learning how to live together despite our differences. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Where did I hear that phrase from? It's like the cognitive dissonance is just mind-blowing. And he's in charge of health and
Well, yeah, I heard he's starting an autism registry, or he was trying to pitch that, and that's like getting people are are getting up in arms because they're recognizing, oh, when's the last time we heard about an autism registry? Oh, Nazi Germany, bad, we can't do that, whatever. Why would RFK want to do that? I thought he was a good guy. So it's like, but so part of it, what's happening is that they're recognizing by actually being inclusive, they're recognizing cases that they would have never caught before. That's definitely happening. What I think is also happening, because it's possible for two things to be true at once, is that there is a sharp increase in
So it's playing over here, but it's not playing your show.
like the incidence of autism has dramatically increased because of better diagnostics, but also because I think environmental pollution and stuff, like vaccines can be considered an environmental pollutant in a sense, right? So it's just like we have our modern diseases of civilization, of modern technology and stuff. So I think that there's some of that is also contributing to the increased incidence. It's a bit of both, but people want to act like it's only one or the other. So, sorry.
No, you're fine. And like we know more now, right? So autism is a spectrum. So back then, maybe the most severe cases of autism were sent to the mental institutions or what have you, and the high functioning autistic people, or somewhere on the other side of the spectrum, they were able to somewhat navigate through society, no matter how weirdly or what have you, and they were considered quirky, and they probably suffered in silence because no one tended a little bit to their needs. They didn't get a little extra time to calm themselves in their anxiety, to take a test or what have you,
or to be comfortable with who they are,
to be comfortable,
a less than typical person, because there's a lot of us we couldn't really be normal if we wanted to, and we shouldn't have that held against us.
Or to be allowed to have their pattern, the pattern that makes them feel most safe, all those types of things. So that's what we call progress. That's what they call woke, which was
and
never
a
what
lot of
woke
religious
meant.
attitudes. A lot of these religious attitudes are the way that you're behaving is not holy or something like that. Like, we need to correct it because it's not in keeping with my vision of humanity. So.
Wow, Snorky. Okay, thank you, because you throwing me off. This one over here, I would say ADHD or somewhere on the spectrum. I've been in my ear the whole time because she can't get the headphones to work, and I'm trying to hear you and pay attention to you, and she wouldn't leave me to fuck alone.
I got
Hi, John.
Oh, hey, yeah, I saw John Kemper. I meant to say hello. I saw you there. What's up? Yeah, I got ADD. Both my kids got some ADHD. So I know that. I maybe have some myself. Who knows?
Oh, Mastermind, who's telling you that? I can't believe that. I can't believe somebody would tell you something like that. And this is very true, Jacqueline. Okay, a lot of neurodivergent people, weren't diagnosed. And females, even females today, still don't get diagnosed when they're on the spectrum. They're able to. I'm not a medical person. This is my assumption from what I've seen and my thoughts about it. I think they're able to hide it more, because the way females and males are conditioned, brought up at a younger age, and also with boys, testosterone. Like, I don't understand why they're taking recess out of school. Like, of course you're gonna say a boy has behavior problems. He needs recess. He needs to run. He needs to get some of that energy out of him so he can come back and pay attention in class. If he has all that stuff going on in him, why would he pay attention? He's trying to feel a what's the word? Visceral, visceral need.
Feel his passions, his juice is flowing. Yeah.
Well, like a
Visceral sounds like a good word.
visceral sounds like a good word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget my words. I'm getting old, child.
Visceral basically just means like it's kind of like your viscera is like your organs and stuff, from what I remember.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it right. All right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let me see. The chat's going so fast.
I see Sean said he believed the word autistic was formed by the Nazis. I'd say close, but no, not quite. It was a eugenicist named Eugene Bleuler, or Bleuler. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but he was a Swiss psychiatrist who wasn't technically a Nazi from what I can see when I look it up online. But sometimes these people's history has been kind of scrubbed and sanitized. So if he wasn't a Nazi, he was definitely a Nazi sympathizer or apologist. So
Hmm.
thing with the word schizophrenia.
Yeah, bad cookies. They want to replace recess with drugs. It's really really sad, and they start very young in elementary school. Yeah, and of course, Black Life wants to say something about this, seeing as though she's in elementary schools
No worries. Yeah,
at least
definitely.
three times a week. Go ahead.
Can y'all hear me? Is it echoing? I'm good to talk like this?
Can you hear her?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear you. Let's hear how you sound there. Let us know.
Turn over here. Turn here.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I was gonna say there was a moment when I thought they were gonna do something great. Some people are for this
Who's
and
they?
some people are against it.
Wait, who is they?
Hmm?
Who is they?
The school system.
Oh,
I thought they were gonna strenuously implement restorative practices and get away from like punitive practices. I'm sorry, punishments, and be more fair about it. But then we watched a TV show called Vice Principals.
oh no.
I'm just saying they made light of it, of the restorative circles. It's supposed to be.
That's a TV show.
Sometimes though, culture has
No,
a
I'm talking
oversized
about
imprint
people.
on the way that people behave. Like a
Okay,
show could come out, it could be popular, it could change people's in a big way people's perspective about
Something serious.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. They made light of it, but then I also saw it on a like a court TV show. Maybe it was SVU, and they were using restorative practices. Basically, it's to give the people an opportunity to talk through the problem, in a respectful manner. That is, if it's safe enough to do it, because sometimes restorative isn't the answer. Like if it gets to hardcore violence.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying the school system has a way or has ways of helping, but then they come back with 10 more data driven responsibilities that they throw onto teachers. So it's a lot of stuff. But there are solutions. That's all I want to say. It's like it's not a hopeless thing.
He was about to start talking about that show. You know it.
No, I just made the
So-
point that it made light of restorative practices.
A lot of
But it
people
could be an effective thing.
a lot of people assume we don't really know what the solutions are. If we just knew what to do, we do something better. But I think the people are not recognizing that the solutions are being suppressed. It's like it's treated like it's too woke to actually do restorative justice or practice in schools, right?
Yeah. Snorky says that half of his students have attention disorders. I wonder how he deals with that in the classroom. Like, let them get up and take a break.
See, much
Stand
like
up and listen to the lecture. Sit down on the floor and listen. Like the sometimes you can get agitated in those sitting in those hard seats, and you need to move
No,
your
it is
body a little
intentionally
bit.
comfortable. The restorative circles room.
No,
Oh.
I'm not talking about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's a good idea of what could be changed. A simple thing that could be changed would make things better because you got all these hard desks and chairs that are making kids uncomfortable, but it's too expensive to buy them a nice chair.
Okay. Well,
It's a shame. Not even allowed to put
Tosh
shock
Miss,
collars on them.
she wants to get in on this one. I saw this. I saw this. Okay, let's go back to your. You guys aren't gonna know what we're talking about, but I'm gonna go back to your that room, Tosh Smith.
Mm-hmm. I was about to talk about your nephew.
Hold
School.
on, slow down.
Okay.
I need you to slow down. Okay, that room with the
restorative
the
room?
restorative room, how it's colorful and everything. Okay, so I was watching this man talk to, I guess he was an educator, talk to someone else. It was two black men, and he said, when you're in elementary school, or what do you see around in your classroom? A bunch of colors. It's vibrant. It's like waking you up. You're excited to be there. It feels nice. It feels comfortable. Okay, when you get to middle school, what do you see? All
Colored
the
bleak
colors are
now.
gone. It's just black,
You see
light
expectations.
brown, gray, but it could still be colorful. Like, why did you have to suck the life out of me to give me expectations? I had expectations in elementary school. I was expected to clean up, clean up. We all got to clean up. Like I was expected to get in line, a straight line. I was expected to do stuff within my ability. I could still do those, have expectations that are higher in middle school, and not have it look like a prison.
Right? But
Um,
they're
And
probably
then
doing
when you,
make
sorry,
it
and then
serious, right? That's what I was
it,
saying.
say it one more time.
They're just trying to encourage the kids as they get older to be more mature and serious, which is ironic that doesn't really work. You see, people are just as more unserious now than ever. So taking the life and
Yeah,
fun
like that,
didn't work, right?
that's not going to make you unserious to make you feel like you're in a jail cell. And then when you get to high school, what they have those monitors you got to go through. They have, like it just starts looking more and more like a prison the older you get, and it's like sucking the natural, I don't know, aura out of you or something like that. His
Energy, your life force.
energy, yeah.
Yeah.
But you go to fast food, all of those are colorful.
Yeah, that's where the bouncy castle or the play place is and everything. You got all the colored balls and everything.
Yeah, all of that's colorful. So, and those are adults going in there to buy food. So, what you making me nervous, Tosh, man. You're making me nervous.
Yeah, see, John Kemper was saying they're using 150-year-old buildings in Chicago. They all look like shit. Yeah, this is sometimes it's not even intentional. They're not. It is and it isn't. It's like it's not so much that they're specifically choosing to not have it look nice. It's just that the profit
I don't know
motive
what you're talking about.
in trying to cut expenses. You just don't care about doing things properly anymore.
I was talking about liberty. How it's
Okay.
drastically different
Okay.
than a stream.
Okay.
You say how classrooms look like prisons. I was basically saying
You been in the classroom?
That's a good
in
point.
Liberty.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of it. They don't want to. I try to get
Okay.
in, but you got to be on the list.
She's saying that my nephews, they went to a school called Liberty High. It used to be called Robert E. Lee High, but they changed the name after we
Long
fussed.
story.
Long story. But anyway, she's saying how it's more of a richer school. How their classrooms didn't look like prisons, drab and everything. They had
It
color
looks like a
and
junior college.
Junior colleges don't look. They don't have a lot in
No,
there.
this looks like a new age.
Oh, okay.
It's very
Yeah,
fancy.
it is fancy. I've been in there. So she's saying that compared to like schools of with the poor income tax bracket,
Hmm.
how they look.
They look exactly like prisons, and they're operating like that.
Yeah.
I wish I could use those Google glasses to go undercover.
Can you read that and maybe they give you some ideas when you go in the classroom?
I
So
don't have my glasses. I'm having good luck letting students have red lights on their desk. When the light goes on, the ADD and the ADHD
goes
goes
away,
away.
and it is good training for them.
That's interesting, Snort.
It,
Yeah.
and
Well, keep us
um,
up to
there's also
mind about that.
those pop bracelets where they could pop like and then
Fidgets. It's a lot of
fidget, and
things.
then there's these stress balls because I use these too when I get anxious. I use my stress balls, and then there's those things that like what
Sensories.
they that turn
Fidget
like
spins.
fidget spins. Yeah,
I
But there's
remember.
also sensories.
yeah, they have sensory seat cushions too that you could sit in. It's a lot of stuff.
I just remember Snork was saying something specifically a while ago. He mentioned about the red lights with the ADD. There's something about the way the problem that's going on in the brain, the red light. He can explain it better than I can. I forget a little bit, but there's something specific about the red light that is interfering with the ADHD symptoms, and
Hmm.
that's something worth focusing on if he's touched on something that maybe people haven't discovered. You might be a pioneer in ADHD research. So keep it up, Snor.
Yeah, that's good because that is way lighter than carrying around one of those what do they call it, the vest that the weighted vest. I guess that's what they call it, a weighted vest
Hmm.
that calms autistic people down. Um,
Science is neat, though.
it does that with animals too. With they sell those for animals as well. It calms certain animals down that have anxiety. So um, I think I think the way they found out about it was from Temple Grandin, if I'm not mistaken. From her, um, she was severely autistic, and the only way she could calm down, she made this little contraption of herself. I mean, a contraption where she would like close it in on her, and she would just stay in it like that, and it would calm her down. I wonder if I could find a picture of that.
A
And
lot, a lot
if
of these
Temple
ideas.
Grandin is the one who revolutionized how you send cattle to the slaughter.
Hmm,
If
saying a lot of these,
it's a very good movie, she has a very good movie. If you, I'm sorry, I'm
a lot
cutting
of,
you off.
my bad. I'm trying to cut you off. I was saying a lot of these technologies and ideas actually come straight from the disabled people themselves, and that's often people are expecting. We need some expert savior to come in. If you just listen to the disabled community,
Right? They'll tell you.
what's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shucks, I just lost it. Let me see. I found the contraption, and I really like to show you guys. For those of you who haven't seen it, um, I like her sense of style too. She always wears those like you know the old cowboy look. But this is the contraption. She built it herself.
Oh, okay.
And when she was in college, the only person that would roommate would be her roommate was a blind girl because she was just too much for everybody else. And so she had this in their room, and if she was feeling overwhelmed, she'd run back to her her room, and she'd pull that string, and the flaps would drop on the side, and hold her in nice and tight, and it would calm her down. And that's how she came up with the how to humanely uh, send cows to the slaughter. So
Nice. I should look up that movie or read up on Temple Grandin there. I never
Yeah,
really
she's highly respected in the farming industry.
interesting.
Yep. Um,
So
so
you want to move to another topic here? Or where were
yep,
we?
yep. Oh,
Can you put
you know what?
What Snarky said?
If um, so Snarky, I'm glad you brought this up right here. Is this what
You
you're
need
talking
to.
about?
Yeah,
No,
because
Shout out to Finland. Go Finnish people.
that's what I'm talking about.
she's
The
talking
ones
about
that
3
are not.
teachers per classroom. But I'm glad you brought this up because actually, I was going to bring something close to this up in my segment. This is a good time to go into my segment. Um, yeah, that's awesome. I wish. I wish. God, my mind is escaping me. Um, because the crypto guy is here.
Is that Golden Monarch you're saying?
Oh, the monarch. Yeah, I don't know
Well,
why I couldn't think of.
Monarch? Well, I don't see him there, but
No, he's not here.
always good to see him though.
Yeah. No, I was just wanted to hear his commentary on this. So
I
let me
just
go ahead and share
I
my
just
screen.
see Jacqueline made a comment. She says she thinks Finland copied the comprehensive system of the UK with great success. That's interesting. I'm not sure if I knew that, but wouldn't be too surprising that somebody took what the UK was doing and did it better.
Okay, here's our
That was
boy
cold.
Peter.
Well, that was a dig. He said, "Take what UK did and do it better."
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Okay. So I am going to start this Peter Thiel. We're going to delve into him. So we're going to get in the say the word for me, Michael. Say the word. Technocracy.
Okay. Same thing.
Technocracy. All right. So we're only going to do like 5 minutes, but I think I'm probably going to rant for a few of those 5. So excuse me in advance.
Hard not to rant about Peter Thiel. He's like Bill Gates. You know, every single thing that he's ever done or ever will do seems to be infuriating and insane. So
Yep. So let's see how insane it goes. Here we go. Oh, that's him. Okay.
We have this election coming up in 2-3 weeks where
turn it up
you
a bit.
have very choice that's presented to you. On the one hand, you can vote for taxing and
Does that
spending
help?
and
A little bit, but
regulation.
sometimes it's all you can do.
Or
Yeah.
you can vote for the Democrats.
It's if we could put closed captions
And
on.
Okay.
Interrupt.
Yeah, I can't turn it up any higher. It's all in my ear now. I'll suffer.
So
It's
you can
worth
read along.
suffering for.
If you can.
Yep.
We have this election coming up in 2-3 weeks where you have very choice that's presented to you. On the one hand, you can vote for taxing and spending and regulation and redistribution, or you can vote for the Democrats. And so I wanted to maybe make it started with a little bit of interactivity and assume that I can be the libertarian dictator, and we're only going to allow 2 parties on the ballot. We're going to allow the objectivists and the anarchists, and do sort of an alternate election right now on the spot, and see who would vote for the objectivist party. And how about the anarchist party? And how about what even if we had that, how many of you would be skeptical of voting as the best way of deciding things? Versus how many would, I sort of got you on that one, but anyway. And so I want to reflect a little bit on talk a little bit about my evolution, my thinking. I've been a libertarian, pro free market for as long as I can remember. But my thinking about how that intersects with the political system has changed a lot over the years. When I was a teenager studying political philosophy at Stanford in the 80s, it seemed like the right way to advance ideas was through the give and take of debate and through elections, and sort of try to get a lot of people to be convinced of your views and of your side. Started one of these student newspapers. We had, we had our minor victories. We managed to get the school's speech code overturned, but an awful lot of it had this feeling like it was trench warfare in World War I, where you had well-established battle lines. There was just tons of carnage, but the front lines never really moved. And in retrospect, it maybe had the benefit that we were sort of preaching to the choir, and it had sort of the side benefit that the members of the choir kept singing for the rest of their lives. But it didn't really move it at shifting people. And as people sort of grow older, they tend to sort of become disillusioned with things. The world's too big a place. It's too hard to change things. And sort of by the early 90s, I sort of realized that the people who were sort of politically not part of the establishment system, you could basically measure people's IQ.
Let me stop there for a second. You want to say something?
Well, I was just saying he's taking a little time to make his point. I'm not sure where he's getting at with this.
Well, this is what I took from that part. He's saying that when he was young and hopeful, he thought as long as he got his message out through newspaper articles, through networking, having like open debates with people who didn't think ideologically, what is wrong with me today?
Do your tongue exercises before we start. Whatever.
Ideologically, as he did, eventually they would see the error in their ways. All he had to do was, talk to them, because obviously he was the one that was making sense.
So
and all you had to do was listen to him. And then once everyone else realizes how stupid and simple-minded they had been, then we can ride off into the sunset and let capitalism go unchecked.
Well, yeah.
That's what he's saying.
When you put it that way, he sounds like he's setting up the democracy is great. I really loved it when I was young and naive like you guys. But when you understand the true nature of the problem, you'll come around to see it like me, that democracy is too idealistic and we should not try to actually live in that kind of a system. Yeah.
Yes, he says, but then when I realized that these idiots aren't capable of understanding, then it's important that you let us rich people rule over you, because you're obviously too dumb to build community and maintain your communities yourselves, not without our help. It's like a mockery of us. And I want you to notice that this is in 2010. Okay. Right. So we're in 2025.
Had these ideas.
Well, I didn't have to tell you that, but
sometimes I forget. What the hell? I feel like nothing's changed.
What the hell?
What the hell? Barry?
What the hell, Baloo?
Okay, so let me go back a little bit. Okay. Sorry. So this is the next insulting part. I'm only going to do 5 minutes of this beginning of this, but you're going to get enough information in that 5 minutes, and I'm probably going to stop it enough because it annoys me enough that it's probably going to be 15 minutes. I apologize in advance. Okay, here we go.
Peter Thiel is plenty for me.
Realized that the people who were sort of politically not part of the establishment system, you could basically measure people's IQ very simply by how optimistic they were about politics. And sort of the dumb people tended to think you should really all vote. The smarter people thought it was probably a bad thing, but you still had to maintain appearances. And then the really smart people were just sort of a despondent, and the ones who were conservative engaged in heroic amounts of alcohol consumption, and the people who were libertarian did not limit themselves to alcohol. And and so basically, but I don't think, I don't think despair.
Hold on, I'm going to stop it there. Okay. Okay. Well, at least we know we're ahead of the curve, Michael, because the dumb people think we should vote. We should all vote. Well, at least we know we're not the dumb people. I mean, I think we should vote, but I think we should vote our values just to let them know what they are. But he knows as well as we know that it's nothing more than political theater. I mean, he just kind of just said it.
Yeah, I think we should vote, but not until after we fix the broken system. I don't think you should play rigged games. It's not that you can't play games at all, but you shouldn't play when the game is rigged and the enemy is adversary is cheating.
I advocate for voting locally because that is very important. That actually does really affect you way more.
I should look more into my local politics. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like the place Taj Mint works for, a very good organization. A special election, they had it for a vote on a special election on purpose, to see if they were going to be approved for keeping their doors open for the next 10 years. And locally, the people of the community had to vote on it. So if they wouldn't have showed up, they would have closed their doors and those children wouldn't have those resources anymore. So I do believe that there is a need to vote locally for sure.
Just don't try and act like those marginal gains are so important, just to forget the big picture that we need more than those marginal gains.
Exactly. These are just crumbs.
Yeah.
Okay. We want the whole damn thing.
There's nothing selfish about it.
And did. Period. Okay. So the dumb people think all we have to do is vote. That's what he said. He said the smarter people probably think it's a bad thing, but you have to maintain appearances. So now he's talking about Washington, D.C. He's talking about the politicians, the ones that were too ugly for acting, so they went into politics. He's talking about the DNC and the RNC, the Electoral College. Well,
we know full well that democracy is a bad thing, but they need to keep up appearances, and they do so well.
Yeah. Well,
they're slipping a bit lately.
Yeah. Some of the Electoral College are still in the dumb people category because a lot of them are outsiders and they don't have an inside track. Like, I know somebody who's an electoral, what do you call them? Voter or whatever.
Collegiate.
And they still think voting matters. I'm like, but you're part of the Electoral College. But anyway, and then he says, now the really smart people were despondent. They're low in spirits. They're losing hope and courage. So the conservatives, they are just like in despair and they're not drinking. But because we're libertarians and we believe in being free to do whatever we want to do, we didn't mind drinking into our despair. Ha ha ha! That's so fucking funny. But anyway,
well,
so
I think
Peter wants to come in.
Says some similar things, basically. Or I forget exactly the quote, but like libertarians are like Republicans who want to do drugs, something like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're like Republicans that want to do drugs and have gay sex freely.
Yeah.
But
What?
I like the one libertarians are like cats, completely dependent on you, but completely convinced of their own independence.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So I want to go back to the. We're going to go back to this. I'm all over the place, and I'm sorry, but I'm trying to get these points across, so it makes sense. Hopefully, it comes together in the end. Okay.
No worries.
So I'm going to go back to the smarter people who probably think it's a bad thing, but you have to maintain appearances. So
Okay.
I need to switch my
Well, it's a little funny that Peter Thiel's gonna call himself a libertarian when he's a lot like Elon Musk. He completely depends on the federal government for his wealth, and that's you can't exactly be. You could be a libertarian in name, I guess, but you're contradicting your own ideology by cozying up so well to such a massive bureaucratic structure that's like the antithesis of libertarianism. But I'm not really a libertarian, so yeah.
exactly. It's like complaining about people who own welfare when you own a corporation that gets subsidies from the government,
Yeah.
Walmart.
amongst others. Yes,
Just the first one.
or the NFL, pharmaceuticals. The research and development comes from colleges. I mean, there's so many. I'm just noticing. I should probably change my little thing to like yours, where it's all the way across, because
Oh,
it like gets in my face. Can't see my
yeah.
pretty face.
Well, I never know what to add to the other part, so I just keep it on the top.
There we
I
go.
don't have like credentials to add to my name. So
The only credentials I have is my @ just like you.
yeah.
So here we go. We're talking about the smarter people who probably think it's a bad thing that you have to maintain appearances. Okay. DNC had to go to court. We are a private corporation with no obligation to follow our rules. So I'm going to read this to. Should I make this bigger?
Yes, please.
Okay.
This is something that maybe many of our audience is aware of, but this is the kind of talking point that cannot be hammered home often enough. So
Yes. So they had to go to court over the whole Bernie Sanders and all that jazz. There was a lawsuit filed against them. Okay. So in the transcript from last week's hearing in blah, 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 and Debbie Watson and Schultz, DNC attorneys assert that the party has every right to favor one candidate or another, despite their party rules that state otherwise, because after all, they are a private corporation and they can change their rules if they want. The argument is not without merit. In fact, it is legally sound. It is a legally sound argument that has rarely been overcome in the court of law, where courts are extraordinarily hesitant to get involved in the political thicket. The last time the court rejected the private party rights argument was in 1944, when, despite the Democratic Party's objections, Democratic Party, the court held that the party had to let African Americans, I consider ourselves foundational Black Americans or African descendants of slavery, anyway, participate in their primary. In that case, the court sided with the protections in the 14th Amendment, holding that the exclusion of Blacks from the Democratic primary violated their fundamental right to vote at meaningful stages of the election process. So basically, you could participate. They didn't even want you to participate, but now they're like, okay, well, you could participate, but we ain't got to pick on you. We ain't got to call you. You could just come and come to the party, I guess, whatever.
well, it's ridiculous. I mean, they actually had to go to court to defend that they wanted to keep Black people out of their party And then now they had to go to court to defend that they don't have to put any kind of black leader in charge of their party if they don't want to, that kind of thing. So even if they are in the party, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, even if you're
look at what happened when they put the black dude in charge. Jamie.
What's that?
Jamie over the Democratic Party. The chair that came after her was Jamie, right? The dude from South Carolina.
I'm not sure.
Who was it? Who replaced her? I'm being serious. It was a black guy.
You talking about Jamal? I don't know. You could Google it.
No, it's not Jamal.
Google it.
Sorry, just kind of.
I think she's talking about the minority leader or something.
No,
which is different
not Jeffries. I'm talking about the replacement of the head of the Democratic National Convention was a black dude.
Jamal Brown. I don't know. Google it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean they have the black faces in high places, so that they do have the appearance that.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep going, and okay, in that case, the court sided. Oh, I already did that. All right. So in this case, okay, so that was the previous case where they went to court. I'm going to read that part again just so we could be clear. In that case, the court sided with the protections of the 14th Amendment, holding that the exclusion of blacks from the Democratic primary violated their fundamental right to vote at meaningful stages of the election process. In this case, a group of Bernie Sanders supporters filed a class action lawsuit against the DNC and the former DNC chair, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, because they argue they were denied a fair and impartial election and had given money to a campaign on the belief that it was fair and impartial. In other words, the plaintiffs are relying on laws that impose a fiduciary obligation on corporations to protect their shareholders and protect against tortuous conduct like misrepresentation, not fundamental rights secured by the Constitution. So because this is a private corporation, they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, not to the citizens of the United States that are in the Democratic Party that think that they are a part of something that is working on behalf of them, because they're not.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to break away real quick and add that little snippet, because the smarter people that think, that it's a bad thing but have to maintain appearances, they don't think they know, but they maintain appearances for what? Money, power, just to feel like they're important, because people actually think they're important. These are nobodies. They're not celebrities. They're not celebrities, people. All right, so let's get back to the really smart people that are despondent. Let's get back to them. And for me to get back to them, I'm going to have to do a few little things. Can you go through the comments while I do this?
Yeah, sure.
Wait, before you do that, she pulled it up. His name is Jamie Harrison. I recognize his little face. And what is he? Democratic Party chair.
He was the black Democratic chair that came after Debbie. Act like he was going to do something different. When Stacey Abrams was popular, they put him in there, right?
Yeah, okay.
And then he ended up losing. Like, it went like this.
She went, psh. Okay, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
That was very short-lived.
They're talking about food in the chat. You guys can make me hungry.
Can you go ahead and go through the comments, so when we get back to, so I can I'll set this up again?
Sure, let me just try and I see Cookie is saying these chicken wings are juicy on the inside and crispy on the outside. These people are saying you are cruel, Cookies, because you're making our mouths water a little bit. And then see Master Ryan saying he keeps getting melted butter on the keyboard from his lobster tail. Oh yeah, Swanky.
Wait a minute.
What is going on?
I think he's just joking, but that'd be fun. I don't know what you mean. Comes out like banana or zucchini bread, but I saw this question: does anybody use anything other than paprika for their deviled eggs? I put seasoned salt on mine. Don't put too much though.
Ooh,
And cayenne pepper.
I'm gonna be making some mayak eggs. I think it's Korean. I just went to the grocery store today, to the Korean grocery store to get. Oh, I was like the Asian grocery store. I couldn't figure nothing out. Everything was in. It was so
Oh,
Ice
difficult.
cream bread.
But I did
It's
it.
hard to buy when you don't know what it is.
I got through it. Okay, so I am going to let you finish that, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Sure, yeah. I was just saying, is Sean saying putting chopped bacon on the deviled eggs? That sounds interesting. I may want to try that. Always good to hear new tricks. I've also seen crushed croutons sprinkled on top. That one sounds a little weird. Not my thing. Ice cream bread. The hell is ice cream bread? I like ice cream cake. That's better than regular cake.
Can you hear me, Michael?
Hey, yep. How's it going?
Mike. All right. I was wondering what was ice cream bread. Somebody said that. That seems interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know there was such a thing.
I think that was Sean.
Yeah.
Unless he was joking.
Yeah, sometimes people are joking. You
Oh,
got
okay.
me. Cookie says, "Stupid and ignorant question, Michael. Do you guys have deviled eggs in Canada?" Yeah, I like making them.
What you
Made
put in it, Michael?
mayonnaise mixed with the yolk, and
Yeah.
like I was saying earlier, just seasoned salt and cayenne pepper. That's it.
Yeah. It don't. I think Abby do put some. Relish? Is it reddish? Reddish?
Relish, yeah,
Like relish.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because
Or some kind
KYE
of
is saying
pickled taste and stuff.
it sounds similar to
You
what
put
KYE is
reddish.
saying.
Is it
Vinegar.
relish in your deviled eggs?
Yeah, that doesn't sound
Relish.
like deviled eggs to me. That sounds like
Reddish is a vegetable, huh?
a totally different
Radish
thing.
is a vegetable.
Radish
Yeah.
is that? Yeah,
Radish is
radish.
a vegetable.
Okay,
It's
yeah, put
relish
radish
that
on
you
your
put.
deviled eggs. That's
And
Then
cayenne
cayenne
pepper.
pepper.
okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
Sounds healthier than what I do.
That is not my recipe. Thank you very much.
Michael's
um,
sounds like it's pretty good.
I'll
I'll
taste
taste
this.
this.
Got a bit of
He
What
extra.
you use?
Well, he
Well, he
used
used
mayo.
mayo.
It's echoing because we're both on the thing.
Do you use mayo?
What's that?
Mayo?
Mayo? You don't put mayo
I know
in your
some people
deviled
that
eggs?
use it.
White people love mayonnaise. I'm just gonna say it.
That's
They
how I
love
was taught how to make
mayonnaise.
it. I didn't know there was a better way. But what if you don't put mayo in your deviled eggs? What do you put in it?
Just
2 cups
just
of
a
ice cream,
little,
1
just
cup
a
of flour.
little to get it a little wet. But I
Yeah.
put mustard seeds and spicy mustard
Okay. Radishes,
and hot
chopped up
sauce
pickles,
and sweet relish, and then I top it off with paprika.
Hey, I have one thing to say. Sean just got the recipe for ice cream bread.
Ooh.
It's literally 1 cup.
Let me see something.
Of melted ice cream.
I'm gonna be right back.
Oh,
that's
interesting. You writing this down?
Ooh.
Let's maybe try that out with my kids.
Take a picture.
Oh, okay.
It's always good to get new recipes for baking with the kids.
I tried like if it sounds.
Uh-oh. You dropped out. What happened? You lost your. Let me unmute you.
Yeah.
There we go.
Abby goes out.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
we lost what you just said because you were muted for a minute.
Oh, I was just saying if it looks like it tastes good, I'm gonna try it. Some stuff you could look at and you're like, nah, I'm not gonna try that.
Yeah,
But ice cream bread is one of those things.
Half of the eating is done with your eyes. That's something that's
true, Michael.
Yeah.
You know what? Somebody told us about It was snow ice. Wasn't it? Abby, snow ice.
When it
When it
snowed
snowed
here,
here,
Oh,
we
here we
took
go.
some plain ice and put it with some carnation milk and vanilla,
Vanilla extract,
vanilla extract.
and it
It
tastes
was
like ice.
the
You just take snow.
it was like a snowball, really. It was delicious.
It was very good. It tastes like ice cream.
Shocking. Not really shocking because that's how you make a snowball.
Okay.
I'm out.
No, I fixed my thing. Isn't that better? I'm just
Sound,
gonna
I
leave
think
it
so.
like that from now on.
Okay.
Okay, so are we getting back on track?
Uh,
Um,
yeah, we may as well
so
see what else you want to do with our
it's
time. I'm not sure
it's
how much
three
longer.
fit. I'm almost done. It's 3:50. So we only have like an hour. I mean, an hour, like a minute and 15 more seconds of him. So we left off on they're the smartest people, and so Peter Thiel feels like he needs to step in and save the day. So now we're going to find out how he's going to do that. How is Peter Thiel going to save us peasants from ourselves? Who called us peasants? I can't remember. Oh no, JD Vance called China peasants. If he
Oh,
called them peasants, who knows what they call it? Well, we know. Rondo,
well,
we know what he calls us.
I'm not too fond of calling people peasants these days, considering it doesn't really. I don't think it really fits anymore. Most people are like urban living now, and not really like our lifestyles are very different from peasants. But people still, in some ways, because people are so badly educated, it fits pretty well. So
Uh, and you know what, bad cookies? Actually, I do have a pile of shit. I'm about to share it right now. Don't you worry. I got a great
I
big old pile of shit for you.
was gonna say, well, you putting baking
It's
soda in there?
Peter
What the
Thiel.
hell? Making that's funny.
All
Yeah.
right, Peter, come save the day, bruh. Let us know what's going to happen. What's going down?
Basically,
Basically,
and I don't think I don't think despair is the only answer, and I don't think and it's because I don't think politics is the only way to go. And my thinking on this, started to take a turn towards a more optimistic perspective in the mid to late '90s when I got involved in the tech boom in Silicon Valley. I ended up being the co-founder of something called PayPal, where and the initial founding vision was that we were going to use technology to change the whole world and basically overturn the monetary system of the world. And we can debate on how much it succeeded or how little it succeeded. Um, and there were parts of it that I think have worked, and parts of it where the jury is still out. But the basic idea was that we could never win an election on um, on getting certain things because we were in such a small minority. That maybe we could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through a technological means. This is where I think technology is an incredible alternative to politics. And there are a number of different technologies we can outline, but the task in this world where politics become so broken and so dysfunctional is to find a way to escape from it. It's not a way to fix it, there's a way to escape. And there are, a number of different options. I think the promising one of the 1990s and this last decade has been to escape onto the internet, which will create an alternate virtual reality. Questions, of course, include, well, how does it intersect with the real world? There are, I think, escaping to outer space is a promise, although I think the space technology is not quite there. So I think that's sort of for the second half of the 21st century. I think we can try to, create autonomous countries on oceans, underwater, all sorts of other spaces. But I think technology is the vehicle for how we should be looking to escape and move beyond politics as we find it today. Um,
Escape. Gotta escape. Through the
why
technology.
do they want to go to? Why are they going to go to Mars so bad, or wherever the hell they want to go to?
But check.
Okay,
is Peter Thiel saying he wants to create a techno-feudal system? That's pretty much exactly what it sounds like he's saying to me. Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Like, we want to rule Earth and get the fuck away from y'all, so we don't even have to see you anymore. You just do all the work, and we're gonna be chilling in opulence on Mars or some shit. I don't know. But okay. So the question is, okay, I have a rant now. Um, why are politicians playing like democracy for stupid people when there's this takeover that's happening? This takeover, well, while politicians were playing democracy for stupid people, this takeover wasn't happening fast enough for Peter Thiel. It just because remember, this is 2010.
Right. Yeah.
So he's plotting and scheming and plotting and scheming and plotting and scheming.
Well, it's funny, right? You're saying like that the democracy is broken, whatever. It's broken on purpose so as to like whatever system he's advocating for in the future to escape to is basically the system that he's already living under, that he's getting the benefit from. Like if you, and it's weird to me that he's like saying that democracy is broken. It's almost like he's thinking of democracy like it's a technology, like it's functional or not functional, and you
There's a bug in it.
But then it's not a technology because the real technology is the real savior. It's like, I don't know.
But that is kind of his philosophy. That's what Project 2025 is about. So we're going to put a pin in that real quick and hold that thought, because we're going to come back to that, right? So in his mind, he has to intervene, right, to save the establishment from the populace, because we're too stupid to understand that without the establishment, we can't survive, because we can't comprehend complexities and nuances of what it takes to be high up on the ladder.
Can't learn from mistakes, right? That's the thing about making, a stupid person makes a mistake or stupid people vote in the wrong person. You suffer the consequence of your mistake and you learn from it. That's how you get smart, right?
Mm-hmm. And he's like, since I can't convince you to stay in your place, which is at the bottom, holding the ladder, so while I climb up it, my rich, white ass ain't gonna fall. Right? Since I can't convince you, then I'm just gonna have to take the power away from you by force.
Right.
And this dude is he really does believe this shit. Like, I'm just gonna show you a few. I know we're getting short on time, so I'm not gonna
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly touch on at least one topic about this 764 online organization that's like targeting kids. We can kind of go out on that because I think it's important if people haven't heard about it.
No, I have some more stuff to.
Sure, yeah, we can keep
like
going on yours.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, whenever you're ready to move to the next topic or wrap up here, I just wanted to briefly touch on that topic. I heard on the Political Matrix channel, I think it was this past Sunday, they mentioned this online organization of, it's mostly young kids that have been kind of groomed into an organization that's like targeting kids like very maliciously and cruelly and talking them into self-harming and even like unaliving themselves, just for seems like some kind of cruel, sadistic, like anarchistic kind of.
Where did that come from?
Like neo-Nazi kind of like, let's see if these kids are willing to let us talk themselves into hurting themselves for our entertainment.
What made you think of that? Oh, because the Political
Matrix brought it up, and then I wanted to look into, okay, that sounds like the kind of government CIA stuff that they do, that they
like
blame
a
on
psychological
random psychopaths, but it's definitely paid for by the government and it's the craziest shit. That's speculation on my part, but yeah. Anyway, I didn't mean to tip the lead a bit on that. Well, I was meaning to get into that story. Whenever you're
Wait, you knocked me off of my rocker. Hold on.
My bad.
Wait a minute now. Whew, where's Shannon Sharp when you need him? Or P. Diddy? Okay.
I mean, I could
So
call
what was I saying? Okay,
got something to call it before that.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm working on it.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Okay. Who between you and Michael? I'm gonna lose my
I
shit.
know, but you asked what Shannon Sharp was. I said
between you and Michael, I'm about to lose my shit.
I said he was under a little white girl.
Can I finish?
Yes.
That's not easy. Trying to go back to. I don't even know what I was talking about anymore.
We were talking about Peter Thiel. You're doing that video, and then you were gonna maybe transition to something based on what he was saying.
Now I got to figure out what I was transitioning to.
Trying to make it about.
And then probably, Yeah.
Something about technocracy. My bad. Threw you off.
Both of y'all.
Just because we're at our 2-hour mark, so I'm not sure how long you wanted to go tonight, but how long the audience is cool with sticking around. But thanks for watching.
Like, share, and subscribe. I was talking about technology. Mike was talking about sadism. We'll meet somewhere in the middle.
I think it's about, like, when you want to talk about the technology, this group is operating through technology. Like, they're on like YouTube and Rumble like Roblox and stuff. So this advancement to this technology has brought these dangerous actors much closer to our kids, and it's important for parents to recognize that technology can be very dangerous when it comes to your children's development.
All right. I think I wanted to let you guys know who Peter Thiel was, because with him talking about, if we want to talk about the Gilded Age, going back to what you were saying, what he said, he made mention of we need to get into an autonomous government, and that basically means self-governance and the capacity to make informed and uncoerced decisions, right? So acting independently without being controlled by the influence of others. And I think by the influence of others, he's talking about women and Black and brown people. Like, they want the authoritative. Helena. Heliante. No, it's a song. It's a stupid song. How's the song go? Hello?
What the hell?
Oh, what the hell? What the hell, Heliante? I'm sure some people in the chat have heard that song. It's stupid. I didn't even get it right. But anyway, he wants to, he basically is looking like fascism. So, but we'll get to how. So let me share this. This is in 2016. Okay. This is when the article happened, 2016. You see that?
I don't see the article.
Oh, okay. I'm not sharing how that happened.
Not sure.
This one over here was supposed to be admin, and she playing in the chat. Huh?
What the hell?
And disrupting me. Y'all in the chat, tell her to leave me alone, please. Let me get through this.
looking in the chat, I've seen. Not sure if Snork was talking to somebody else, but he's saying we're talking like tech like it's a bad guy. He's just a teacher of Chris Galder. I'm not sure what you mean about, but yeah, maybe I should try not to make it tech to be the bad guy. Like Sean was saying, it's not the tech. Tech is neither good nor bad. It's the purpose of the tech and the people who are using it, right? Like, what do we use YouTube for? For what we consider positive things. What are these, whatever, 764 people use it for? To target kids, right? That's the people, not the technology. But anyway, sorry.
All right. So this is a book he wrote in 1996. Okay. In a book he wrote in 1996, it's 2025. He basically had to apologize because he basically was trying to blame women for getting assaulted in his book. It was disgusting. This is the book. The Diversity Myth, Multiculturalism, and Political Intolerance on Campus. In this book, he attacks women and, well, they call us minority, but we're minority here. We're the majority globally. But he says, wait, hold on. What happened? Uh-oh. Oh, I didn't show you the book, did I?
I'm thinking the
Y'all got
screen
me
might have
flustered. I
frozen.
gotta get back on my square.
You're still sharing the screen,
No,
but I don't know
I'm
if it's sharing.
flustered.
Yeah, it's
Here
sometimes
it is. Here it is. Here it is.
it's lagged. Yeah. Go ahead. Could you bring it up so we could read a bit better?
So he's basically saying that the schools had to be dumbed down. You see that word right there? Dumbed down. Admission standards and curricula. Oh, shit. It's right there. For minority students, basically. For women and Black and brown people. This is the article where this is written in 2009. So the book was written in 19. Oh, you can't see that. Oh, sorry. So this is written in 2009. Okay. This is what he says. I think I can make it bigger on this other one.
Yeah, those words are a bit small.
Okay. Peter Thiel once wrote that women getting the vote was bad for democracy. He says, oh, it's kind of small for you, isn't it?
Yeah. At least if you read it, we can hear.
Back to okay. Since 1920, the vast increase in welfare beneficiaries and the extension of the franchise to women, two constituencies. So welfare beneficiaries, of course, they're talking about welfare queens, which that was something Reagan made up, but actually the welfare queen comes from red states, mostly, not ours. But anyway, I'll start over. Since 1920, the vast increase in welfare beneficiaries and the extension of the franchise to women, two constituencies that are notoriously tough for libertarians, have rendered the notion of capitalist democracy into an oxymoron. So, fuck you, bro. But all that to say, you can plainly see that he is his idea of an autonomous society or government is where the white man make the rules and everybody else follows. That's pretty much what's going on here.
Moron. Yeah, like it makes me wonder how much these people actually like know how full of shit that they are, or if they're so high on their own farts with their narcissism that they're convinced that what they're thinking is actually pretty intelligent. How do you not know that capitalism is never like there's no such thing as capitalist democracy? You should know that as a billionaire, like intrinsically, right?
And then so now he wants to, like, through the use of technology, he wants to explore the moment and use technology to basically take over. Well, I would say cripple the government. First, he wants to cripple the government, and he's using Project 2025 to do that. He's like one of the founders of Project 2025. Oh, I'm not, for some reason, it's not sharing again. If you guys can remember this Project 2025 tracker, that's about to pull up. And you can go in and look at all the objectives. I encourage people to go and look at this. Let me put it in the chat so you'll have the link again. Okay.
Were you wanting me to?
Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't. I put in a private chat. I'm sorry. I'm flustered.
I have some in the private chat for you.
Yeah, not sure if you wanted me to share this video, Black Life, because I've been having problems sharing my videos. I could just watch that later.
So,
yes, it's funny.
Okay, cool. It's good to have this tracker back up to see if how far it's moved since we last looked at it.
Right. I found something very interesting. Okay, they're moving pretty fast. And you click on each one, you can see the objective. So I encourage people to go look for themselves or what have you. But I just happen to notice it's not in alphabetical order or anything. Okay, so maybe it's in order of importance, but the Small Business Administration is at the very end. So it's like the business owners better the business owners who are supporting him because they think he's good for business. I don't know. I think you're the last ones to go. You got to look at these objectives. What is he trying to do? End cash grants to small businesses, which includes disaster aid. Allow previously prohibited religious entities to receive SBA loans. So they're moving
and let the religious people have as many small businesses as they want. What a dog bone he's throwing to them.
That is very interesting because the Christian nationalists are how they keep a hold on the Republican Party the way that they do, because they somehow, I forgot the man's name, and I've been watching this lady. She grew up indoctrinated, and she has come out of it for like the last, I don't know, and she was like really into it. She has a degree from was it Liberty University or whatever, in theocracy, whatever. So she knows her stuff, and she's like, she knew the name of the person. I can't remember. I should have wrote it down. Who first started the link between Christianity and politics? And like, you cannot be a true Christian if you don't vote Republican. Stem from this person's teachings of becoming a like Christian nationalist.
Okay.
And she's like, it really is a cult, yada, yada, yada. I mean, that's her opinion. Happens to be mine too, but that's very interesting because that's a move towards Christian nationalism. So anyway, so first step.
He has a good comment worth bringing up here. He said, not religious, Michael, prohibited religious groups. So now anyone who claims to be a religion can be allowed the benefits. Good clarification.
We'll see.
Aren't the religions already kind of claiming be religions, being allowed benefits. It's not that much of a difference, if you ask me. But that's like a anti-religious perspective. So
We'll see. So if you tear down you cripple the U.S. government, right? Um, well, I'm not gonna be. What word did he use? A despondent about it, because it's happening anyway right now. So I'm about to take a positive approach and say, billionaires or rich people always see an opportunity in a in a disaster or chaos.
yeah,
So I see this as an opportunity. If we fall on our faces, right, because they're trying to break the system down as we know it, then that's an opportunity for we the people to create a better system, designed with us in mind.
yeah,
And it's not like we have to reinvent the wheel. They're Western governments in Eastern Europe who are doing just fine. Uh, you know, what is wrong with my tongue today? Yenona, Finland.
mm,
Told you I was gonna come back to that. Finland is doing just fine. We could just hop on over there and see what they're doing and
as long
replicate it, duplicate it.
as
But
long
we
as
just
the
can't
war
get
doesn't break,
past racism.
as long as the Ukraine war doesn't blow up bigger, right? Then Finland won't will be having some problems, right? But
Yeah, we just can't get past our racism. It's very sad.
yeah,
Okay, so now I'm going to just really quickly.
yeah.
I'm just going to do headlines, just so you could see. Peter Thiel is the co-founder of Palantir.
Yes.
Yes,
Very influential corporation. We should maybe know more about
very,
if we don't know enough. I forget
very.
exactly what they're up to, but aren't they kind of involved with like
I'm
all this
about to show
FX
you.
payments over the people?
I'm about to show you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. You're very welcome. So they have their tentacles. It seems like they're basically trying to infiltrate every industry within our borders. So, of course, they have all these military contracts. Okay, cool. Military, fine, whatever. And check out the dates because I just want you to see this isn't just oh wait. Shoot. I have to keep moving. I have to keep doing this. So March 2024. I think there's some further than that. But I just want you to see that this isn't just Trump. Okay, so
That's yet another
remember
trap.
the smart people pretending.
Mm,
Okay, and let's see. This is another one. Oh, the Maven prototype with the Pentagon. You guys can look these up because I know it's getting late, and um, it's all about data collection and analytics, and also defense. So this one, okay, another one. I'll pass that one up. Okay, let's see. I know you couldn't see that. Sorry. Oh, should have passed that one up too. Okay.
U.S. Army extends Palantir's contract for its data
So
harnessing platform.
yeah, this one kind of shows you. Um, so they're saying American manufacturing, but they have their tentacles in maritime. Maybe I can make it bigger.
It's not just American
Maybe
manufacturing; they're probably all over the world.
you can find this on you could find this. I found this on their in their press releases.
Okay.
So aerial intelligence, you see that right here, and you can read more about that. Um, it was da, 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 da. I'll go down. This is maritime, and all of this is like collecting data to a specific company, aerospace and national security. I forgot what this one was. I had to look it up myself. It was something about, oh, wait, before I do that one, I'm going to go to this one. This one is integrating data from space, high altitudes, aerial, and terrestrial sensors. Okay, that's Titan. And this technology is called warp something. Warp.
Warp speed.
Yeah, warp speed. Thank you. I mean, this is all like all normal stuff. ERP, SAP systems, NetSuite, yada yada. That's just software that you use, but it's the using the software to collect all the data in one spot.
Yeah.
And analyze it. So the one that I was telling you about. Ooh, what just happened there? Oh, USER, whatever it is. This is the future of defense and aerospace. So that's what the URSMA major was. I had to go on their website because I couldn't figure it out. Then let's see what else we got here. Oh, this one is interesting. Okay. April 2025, NATO inks deal with Palantir. So for AI systems. So now it's not just the United States of America. Now we're like the tentacles are getting longer and longer, and it is not taking very long.
Well, NATO said the contract was one of the most expeditious in its history. Great.
Okay.
So someone who services NATO as fast as NATO can possibly get off, right?
Yep.
That's great.
Now they're tracking immigration tracking. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. I could pass that one up. This is just saying how fast it's an article talking about how fast they're getting through different industries. So this is May. Now they're talking about patient safety and healthcare standards, like using their technology to partner with the healthcare industry. So how many industries have we hit so far?
I wouldn't want Palantir anywhere near patient care. That's so. There's an oxymoron for you right there. Like,
how many? Okay, and then I think that was one more. They're in the financial industry now too. They partner with Societe Generale. You know, Societe Generale had in 2003, like they had to pay like almost $2 billion for turning the other not overlooking, but well, they overlooked it. They weren't paying attention and let a Ponzi scheme just happen within their bank, and so did TD Bank. And now they're partnering with Palantir. So how many industries was that? That was the financial. Let's try to count them out. Financial industry. There was the aerospace industry, maritime industry. What else? Healthcare industry, and then AI. Well, technology could be broken down into a bunch of different things, right? So that would be AI. It was national security,
right.
and defense.
So
yeah, it was a lot. Oh, tactical intelligence.
I'm sure they're in education somewhere.
They're just like, you know what? I should have to Google that one, but I bet you they are. And so basically,
next time we'll look for that.
Doesn't that look like that to you?
Yeah.
Doesn't that like it's kind of screaming? Oh, Bad Cookie says weapons industry. Yes, it's kind of screaming fascism. So when you talk about an autonomous government, is that what he means?
Well, when you're centralizing everything under the power of a corporate dictator, that sounds like fascism to me, So, but I'm not sure how much that can tie into what I wanted to try and wrap on a little bit, but maybe I'll look into during this next week if there's any connections between Palantir and this 764 organization.
And the education system, we should
this
look
group
into that
is
too.
Yeah, this group is something else, right? It's like these young kids that think that it's okay to kind of operate, like treat other human beings this way. There's got to be some kind of CIA like brainwashing technique that they're using to convince these kids to join an organization like this. So, shout out to the Political Matrix that tipped this story first. Go ahead and check them out on Sundays, I think at 7 p.m. Hopefully, I got that right. So 764, the intersection. Yeah,
if you're watching.
The intersection of terrorism, violent extremism, and child sexual exploitation. Not just sexual, but just exploitation in general. Yeah. On the 12th of September 2023, the FBI made a public service announcement about a violent extremist group called 764 involved in sextortion and the creation and distribution of child sexual exploitation material. 764 is an esoteric network of threat actors adjacent to the Order of Nine Angels, an esoteric militant accelerationist movement. The announcement it's also neo-Nazi. I don't know if it's going to mention that later in this article, but Order of Nine Angels is a neo-Nazi movement. The announcement was accompanied by several arrests.
Can you make it bigger? Can you make it bigger?
Yeah, my bad.
Thank you. No worries.
The announcement was accompanied by several arrests of 764 members, including Angel Almeida in New York, Bradley Cadenhead in Texas, Chandler Pong in Nevada, Kalena Limkin in Hawaii, and a minor in Romania. Analysis of the online activity of O9A and those who adopt their visual aesthetics, such as 764, indicates that there is a significant threat nexus between terrorist and violent extremism content and child sexual exploitation and abuse material. This convergence of TVEC and CSAM is mediated through digital platforms and ecosystems, particularly those linked to the gaming space. So if any kids happen to be out there watching right now, be very careful about who you're interacting with in your gaming spaces. This insight draws on ongoing research. This insight draws on ongoing research into O9A and 764 and the other aliases under which it operates or has been rebranded to shed light on the hybridization of harms from the CSAM and TVEC fields and how these threat actors leverage platforms and technologies to commit acts of sextortion and plan mass casualty incidents. The authors reviewed court records, public chat logs, and social media accounts linked to members of these networks. Private chats and channels linked to the 764 network were not reviewed due to all of them containing child abuse material. And the private channels and chats that they're using, it's I'm not sure if it was in this article, but they mentioned Discord and Telegram. So one of these things that we are using, and I did finally manage to look up who owns Discord. It's a billionaire. Funny enough, who's been in controversies about child abuse on his platform. So. Understanding the actors. O9A is a decentralized, esoteric, militant, accelerationist network of threat actors who believe that Western civilization's Judeo-Christian heritage corrupts modern society. Thus, they seek to overthrow and replace the current order with a new imperial order based on fascism, social Darwinism, and various interpretations of Satanism. So this would be the other kind of Nazis, because it seems like if you could imagine it, whatever split that exists in the Nazi movement is between pro-Zionist Nazis and anti-Zionist Nazis. So I wonder if these are a part of the anti-Zionist group of Nazis. But it doesn't really even matter because all of these groups, I'm pretty sure, are ultimately fed and controlled by three-letter intelligence agencies, we can put it that way. They mostly focus on offline activity and have built online networks to advance their accelerationist and nihilistic goals. O9A's principal aim is the subversion of civil society through the promotion of a variety of immoral and criminal acts, including sexual violence, animal abuse, and murder. Evidence from open source data we have collected indicates that O9A and 764 have a presence on YouTube, Instagram, Discord, Snapchat, X, Telegram, Twitch, TikTok, Steam, Mega, and Roblox. They use these platforms for promotional purposes and recruiting potential members and victims. So that's kind of what you get from a brief report from the Global Network on Extremism and Technology. Because we're kind of trying to wrap up at the end, I won't go into this as much, but there was just something little briefly I wanted to share as far as what they claim that this guy, the name 764 comes from the guy in Texas who founded the organization, his like area code. And I find that a little bit suspicious and convenient. So I'm just looking up today for speculation, like what other appearances of this number seem to come up. And this is what I found. Senate Bill S764. It's a little bit hard to read. So let me try and find the other. I think I had another article here. Got into a little bit better. Is it this one? I think so. Let me just make sure you guys can see this. Yeah. Public Law 114-216 is a federal law of the United States. No, that's the GMO food one. Sorry, no, that's not the right one. My bad. Bear with me here. It's because it's weird. It's about like the CIA, what they're allowed to. You know how there's that Smith-Mundt Modernization Act? It's basically that kind of. That's the kind of. Oh no, sorry. Here it is. There we go. My bad. Sorry to hold you guys up here. This is from May 1969. S764, the Senate bill, was to establish a program to provide open support for private non-governmental activities. Attached is a copy of the bill S764, which is being sent for review and comments. 764 is identical to 779, which was introduced in the 90th Congress in the wake of the National Student Association disclosures, establishes a mechanism for funding the overseas activities of private organizations. So in connection with this 1779, it was the agency's position that Section 7, entitled Prohibition Against Requiring Intelligence Gathering, had an adverse impact on current agency programs and raised obstacles in determining which information and which individuals were within the scope of the section's prohibitions. A proposed revision of this section was drafted by this office as the best substitute to be expected under the circumstances. So why am I mentioning this is because it seems a little bit eerie that this group 764, you could probably literally say that this drafted amendment to this proposal basically makes these types of groups the kinds of groups that they are allowed to fund, this kind of activity that they had previously been prohibited against law. They'd come up with ways to say it's okay for the U.S. government to fund this kind of sadistic behavior if it says that it has a national security reason to do so. So maybe I'm speculating, whatever. This is probably some whatever fact checker person would just say a conspiracy theory. Yeah, it's very conspiratorial of me to say this, right? But I think they like to like stick these coded words in our faces, right? And kind of mock us by putting their ideas out in the open, right? Because we know full well that like the FBI, the Nazis, pardon me, I dropped out a bit there. So, but when you see that these groups are linked with the Nazi groups, then it makes me think that the U.S. has an interest in fostering Nazism all around the world, and they need a group like this to do that. So when you think it's far-fetched to say the government's coming after your kids with like creepy online neo-Nazi propaganda, I'm sorry to have to say that that's exactly what I feel is likely happening. So that's what I had for you guys today.
Alrighty. I think we could cap this off with just one more video of this just to bring it back to everything that we were talking about today. We're sliding into what looks like fascism to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's how it feels to me.
It's like a recession. You know how they always say we're about to be in a recession next year. It's like, we've been in that for years now. That's what it's like with fascism.
So let's just reiterate what we talked about real quick.
Yeah. I just see Cookies asked me a question here. What are the odds that the spooks were the ones who created that 764 group? I'd say pretty high. If I were fellow, I'd say
I can't.
Put one in the chat if you think there's odds, whatever. Never tell me the odds or whatever. There's no way that the spooks ever created that group, or whatever. Or put a 2 in the chat saying obviously, whatever. If you think that the spooks did not create that 7-6 group, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. Anyway. So,
2s. There's a net in here, and he's getting my
watch Heartlands Media with us in the morning. Sometimes you'll see Kit likes to do this democracy in the chat stuff. I like it. It's funny. I just think you should be a little bit more democratic with it. Maybe give it 3 or 4 options.
It's
you got a bug flying up on you,
and it won't stop. I think he likes me. Plausible deniability. I don't even know which one was 1 and which one was 2. I was so distracted.
Number 1 is that you think it's impossible for the spooks to create a group like that. Number 2 is they definitely created a group like that.
When you say spooks, you mean like CIA or something?
Yeah.
Oh, like the FBI. Who was it? Pointing each other. I definitely don't think it's impossible. I mean, it's already been done, tried and true. So why would it be impossible?
Yeah. Well, they're known to use like cults and cult-like tactics for recruiting people. So I think that they've gone in this rabbit hole of we're going to allow ourselves to use these techniques, and now these techniques are using them. They couldn't possibly stop this kind of madness if they wanted to, because they've gone crazy.
So our professor in the group says,
yeah,
most people can't do the math to pick 3 or 4. Now usually if you don't know the answer, you pick C.
Yeah, that's a little too far. I say
number 3.
Give most people a little bit more credit than that.
Okay, so I'm gonna play this just to bring it back to.
Well, Trump talks about prosperity. He talks a lot, mostly about the late 1800s, specifically the 1890s, as the wealthiest time in our country. It's literally the time period where the robber baron terminology came about, was the 1890s, because there were so many really bad, evil, extremely wealthy people who were exploiting working people on an incredible level. And there were, the labor struggles in that time were extremely violent, because literally the army and the cops were used to suppress unions and people trying to organize. It's literally when child labor was prevalent in the mines, and we had like little kids working in coal mines. That's the 1890s. 1890s is also when Jim Crow became codified in all the southern states. The racial segregation laws, those things. Women did not have the right to vote in the 1890s, but it was literally a period of opulent wealth in America, centered at the very top. And the very bottom of America was horrifyingly poor. It was not a good time for our country. And for Donald Trump to emphasize that as the wealthiest time in our country just says everything about what he thinks this country needs to look like.
Right. Well said. Like just
So-
because the dollar had a stronger value back then does not mean that the country was wealthy. It meant small groups of people were wealthy. Yeah.
Which is why I want to reiterate to my fellow brown and black brothers and sisters, do not go out in those streets. That's exactly where they want you to be. Do not go. They've tried everything. They rolled back DEI. They've done so many things. They trying to bring back segregation. What's the latest that they did? They did the affirmative action. Now they brought the Afrikaners here as if they are actual refugees, like thinking that's going to make us mad.
Yeah, that's such a ridiculous thing they're doing
we're
there.
We're not doing that either. We're not hitting the street, honey. And the last one, the most egregious one, and this is complete misinformation because people don't really understand. Okay, let me address this real quick. Mass deportation is a form of segregation. Yes, you are correct. But I'm talking about how he's talking about segregating the federal buildings and stuff. So like the whole white people have to go in through this door, black people, like that, almost like an apartheid in federal buildings. That's what I'm referring to. But yes, you are correct. That is a form of segregation. And we shouldn't tolerate that. We shouldn't tolerate any of this.
That's the answer to the great replacement theory, whatever. We're going to stop the replacement by deporting people, right?
So now they're trying to incite brown and black people by saying they're letting, or not just brown and black people, I think they're trying to get liberals too, white liberals, because they're sending out this misinformation that they're going to pardon Derek Chauvin. And everyone who knows who that is the man who kneeled on that brother's neck and went up. And it was a public lynching. He kneeled on it for I don't know how many, until his last breath. And it was so long. And it was agonizing to watch. And that's what fueled that spark. So they want that spark to happen because I'm really sure they want to declare martial law. But here's the information. Here's the information. It's not going to happen because this man got charged concurrently with state and federal charges. So even if Trump did pardon him, the state of Minnesota has already said that that man owes the state 29 years and he's going to do them. So don't let these people, they're just trying to rile us up. Man, they're trying to create problems where stay home, learn how to cook a new meal, buy a game, get a puzzle, relax, take a nap. But whatever you do, brown and black people, stay your ass at home because that's what they want. And we can't give it to them because it's going to get ugly real fast.
Well, this is a bit of a tricky thing. I think you're right to say, stay out of the streets, right? But then from the class struggle perspective, we have to understand that we do have an interest in reclaiming the streets in a strategic way when we have the ability to do so. I think that it's important,
I ain't going out there.
like with struggling with like the landlords in the building and stuff. I've been thinking to myself lately, like, what good is it to go fight in the streets when we have to be fighting them in the home here? They've taken over our homes. We got to be fighting in the house, fight them out of the house before we can fight them in the streets. One thing at a time. So
All those protests that they've been having have been nothing but parades. Just okay, carry a sign, go walk down the street. This thing really likes me.
Mhm.
And then go home and what? If we want to protest, we need to boycott their businesses. We don't really care. No shopping at Amazon, no shopping at Walmart, no shopping at Target. Get a Costco membership if you can. And I know that's hard for some people because they don't have cars, and so everybody can't do it, but for the ones who can, please make an effort. Buy locally from your local business owners.
Yeah.
Go to Costco. Costco is fighting them to keep DEI because they think it's important. Buy some that tea. What's that tea? Buy, I think there's a list. Who had that list? I'll find
Yeah,
that website.
check
It's
out the
about
lists
something
online.
clothing,
Lots of
something
useful.
clothing or something.
I'm not sure. Check out
I
the list.
have it written down somewhere.
Check out the list that tells you which products are Israeli and boycott that.
Somebody has that link. I don't know where it is. But I'm lucky enough to live in an area where I could buy locally and go to Costco. But if I need to, God damn it!
Damn
If I need
bugs.
to, yeah.
Gotta close the window.
I don't know how it got in, but I don't know. Bugs like me, and usually I'm okay with it. Like I'm okay with them. I'm used to, as a kid, my mom was a scientist. She brought bugs home all the time and animals and stuff. So, but this is like a net, and it's not like a fly that sits on me and is just walking and exploring. I can handle that. This thing is just like that's too much for me.
KYE was
Yeah.
saying protests work, bring the fear, flip it back. Yes, they do. They don't really work so well when they're led by the Democratic Party. So know your protests. Do your homework.
This might be a good time. We're going to end on. This might be a good time to end on based on what he said. I mean, this is from the Showline protest, and she's mainly talking about us as Black people. But if we have empathy within ourselves, we can not just. Did I get you? No. We can, and I'm sorry, y'all. If it comes to me, I have to do something. I did just buy some fruit, so put fruit flies like Brian. Oh, I thought he was giving me a solution.
Time flies like an arrow, and fruit flies like red wine vinegar.
If you guys remember this, you might not. It was this lady who was being interviewed, and they were asking why do you burn down your own stores or what have you. And I'm gonna see if I
To
can
make
find
the
it.
to make the insurance premiums go up at the very least, if you can't make them suffer any other way. That's the problem. Like, why would you burn stuff down when they just pay for insurance to build it back up for them brand new, better than they had it before? Not exactly a good idea. But how do you get around that problem? Not that I'm asking anyone to solve that problem at the moment.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe if you look at this past, her specifically just talking about BLM, and think about it from a standpoint of a worker, an economic worker, because the monopoly part isn't going to specifically um, relate to you because you weren't a descendant of enslaved Africans and natives. Some of them were actually indigenous to the land already too. But if you could just think of it as, look at us now and say that, put yourself in that perspective now. So say now we're playing Monopoly, and even though she's talking about us 400 years ago up until now, say that's us as workers now, and look 400 years ahead and see if you can understand it that way. Empathy.
The monopolies only had time to grow and strengthen. When you put it in that
Right.
metaphor, yeah.
If we're tens of thousandaires, or some of us are 100,000aires, I don't know who's who, and they're billion and trillionaires, I'm sure you could put yourself in this game that she's speaking of, because the government technically owes us trillions of dollars if you add it all up.
Mm-hmm.
And they've accumulated trillions of dollars, like what, 8 people or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think you could figure it out. So I think we can end on this video, and I think it'll be good for us. And think about empathy when you do, and also think about, while I'm pulling it up. Oh, it was right there. It was right there. It was right there.
This mosquito's
Okay.
stealing the show.
I know. Um, and also think about, like, people on Facebook or social media are always saying, like, that's not the way to protest. Like, well, what is the way to protest? Can somebody tell me how to protest to get something done? Because nothing is happening.
I think it has to be like sustained, where you can't go home after a day or a weekend. If you got people together for something, you want it to work, you have to stay there until your demands are met, or you don't go home. You play hardball like that. And I don't see protests doing that anymore. People get locked up like that. But you have to actually understand the critical mass points of, like, they literally can only arrest so many people because there's only so much jail space. And they're going to try and build another jail. It's going to take a few years. So that is, they don't have time to do that. So it's only effective when you reach those tipping points.
Well, anyway. I think you hit them in their pockets, and I love that China gave us all those websites that said, just, they are overcharging you anyway. Since he want to be petty, here are all the websites you could buy it from us straight away. I think we start there, buy it straight from them, and cut out Amazon, cut out Walmart, cut out all these corporations who have been doing us dirty for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And look how fast they toppled our economy. Just a couple of, in my lifetime.
How many trillions have been wiped off from the stock markets in just the past year or two? Several times it's happened.
So yeah, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. I'm not even gonna look at the chat. I already got distracted. Black life was distracting me. I couldn't deal. Um,
No worries.
but
Thanks everyone for
hope.
hanging out.
Yep. Thank you everybody for hanging out. You can go ahead and say the ending. I love y'all. I really do.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Sorry that it went on so long, or you're welcome that it went on so long. Whatever you're looking for, whatever floats your boat. So.
Oh, Sean. Thank you. Look, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yay. The channel don't grow if we don't try and grow, I guess.
All right. Well, here we go.
I'll see you guys next week, and stay safe and
Stay
stay
safe
hammer.
and stay happy. Don't let these headlines get you down. It's all bullshit anyway.
So I've been seeing a lot of things talking of the people making commentary. Interestingly enough, the ones I've noticed that have been making the commentary are wealthy Black people making the commentary about, we should not be rioting, we should not be looting, we should not be tearing up our own communities. And then there's been an argument of the other side of, we should be hitting them in the pocket. We should be focusing on the blackout days where we don't spend money. But, I feel like we should do both. And I feel like I support both. And I'll tell you why I support both. I support both because when you have a civil unrest like this, there are three types of people in the streets. There are the protesters, there are the rioters, and there are the looters. The protesters are there because they actually care about what is happening in the community. They want to raise their voices, and they are there strictly to protest. You have the rioters who are angry, who are anarchists, who really just want to shit up, and that's what they're going to do regardless. And then you have the looters. And the looters almost exclusively are just there to do that, to loot. Now, people are like, well, what did you gain? Well, what did you get from looting? I think that as long as we're focusing on the what, we're not focusing on the why. And that's my issue with that. As long as we're focusing on what they're doing, we're not focusing on why they're doing. And some people are like, well, those aren't people who are legitimately angry about what's happening. Those are people who just want to get stuff. Okay, well then, let's go with that. Let's say that's what it is. Let's ask ourselves why in this country in 2020, the financial gap between poor Blacks and the rest of the world is at such a distance that people feel like their only hope and only opportunity to get some things that we flaunt in front of them all the time is to walk through a broken glass window and get it. That they are so hopeless that getting that necklace, getting that TV, getting that change, getting that bed, getting that phone, whatever it is that they're going to get, is that in that moment when the riots happen and if they present an opportunity of looting, that's their only opportunity to get it. We need to be questioning that why. Why are people that poor? Why are people that broke? Why are people that food insecure, that clothing insecure, that they feel like their only shot, that they are shooting their shot by walking through a broken glass window to get what they need. And then people want to talk about, well, there's plenty of people who pulled themselves up out of bootstraps and got it on their own. Why can't they do that? Let me explain to you something about economics in America. And I'm so glad that as a child, I got an opportunity to spend time at Push where they taught me this, is that we must never forget that economics was the reason that Black people were brought to this country. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Do you understand that? That's what we came to do. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Now, if I right now decided that I wanted to play Monopoly with you, and for 400 rounds of playing Monopoly, I didn't allow you to have any money, I didn't allow you to have anything on the board, I didn't allow for you to have anything. And then We played another 50 rounds of Monopoly, and everything that you gained and you earned while you were playing that round of Monopoly was taken from you. That was Tulsa. That was Rosewood. Those are places where we built Black economic wealth, where we were self-sufficient, where we owned our stores, where we owned our property, and they burned them to the ground. So that's 450 years. So for 400 rounds of Monopoly, you don't get to play at all. Not only do you not get to play, you have to play on the behalf of the person that you're playing against. You have to play and make money and earn wealth for them, and then you have to turn it over to them. So then for 50 years, you finally get a little bit and you're allowed to play. And every time that they don't like the way that you're playing, or that you're catching up, or that you're doing something to be self-sufficient, they burn your game. They burn your cards. They burn your Monopoly money. And then finally at the release and the onset of that, they allow you to play and they say, okay, now you catch up. Now at this point, the only way you're going to catch up in the game is if the person shares the wealth, correct? But what if every time you share the wealth, then there's psychological warfare against you to say, oh, you're an equal opportunity hire. So if I played 400 rounds of Monopoly with you and I had to play and give you every dime that I made, and then for 50 years, every time that I played, if you didn't like what I did, you got to burn it like they did in Tulsa and like they did in Rosewood. How can you win? How can you win? You can't win. The game is fixed. So when they say, why do you burn down the community? Why do you burn down your own neighborhood? It's not ours. We don't own anything. We don't own anything. Trevor Noah said it so beautifully last night. There's a social contract that we all have, that if you steal or if I steal, then the person who is the authority comes in and they fix the situation. But the person who fixes the situation is killing us. So the social contract is broken. And if the social contract is broken, why the do I give a shit about burning the Football Hall of Fame, about burning the Target? You broke the contract when you killed us in the streets and didn't give up. You broke the contract when for 400 years we played your game and built your wealth. You broke the contract when we built our wealth again on our own, by our bootstraps in Tulsa, and you dropped bombs on us. When we built it in Rosewood and you came in and you slaughtered us. You broke the contract, so your Target, your Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what Black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.